Hello and welcome back to the Game Bet Match podcast. I'm your host, Manny Friedman, along with my co-GBM host in the
Brad Sloan,
and our special guest, last-minute guest who is AKA tuned into tennis. What's your name?
Myles David.
future MC, future Cincinnati MC.
Yes.
I like the way that sounds. Yeah, that's a good introduction. Hey guys, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Thanks for joining us. We haven't potted since the preview show for Toronto, so we just kind of want to do a full recap and just talk about what went down this week. Jannik Sinner is the champion. He just beat Alex de Minaur pretty easily in straight sets. But I guess let's not start there. I kind of want to start with what your takeaways are on Alcaraz, just because he kind of had a rough week.
You would start with the number one player in the world, Manny. Huh? That's where you would start with the number one player in the world. You wouldn't be tricky. It wouldn't be unique. You would just start with the number one player in the world.
I mean, even though that's not a unique starting point, I think he had a unique week, actually, because he didn't necessarily play like the best player in the world that had just won Wimbledon. But I do feel like, because I've been watching tennis for quite a while now, not to like brag or anything like that, there's only a handful of players that win their first Wimbledon and just kind of steamroll everything else after that. Like winning Wimbledon, especially for the first time, is like I'm a legit tennis player now. You know, like not dismissing the other Grand Slams, but winning Wimbledon comes with a certain prestige. Like they just build it up like that, and I feel like that just puts you on a certain pedestal in tennis. And he kind of played with knowing of the expectations of like what that comes with, and a certain show he's supposed to bring to the court, which he did. It's not like he flamed out in the first round, but I could kind of tell there was a little difference between Alcaraz of grass season and then Alcaraz in Toronto.
Did Nadal win Toronto when he won in 2008? When he won Wimbledon, didn't he?
I believe I'm thinking about what he had on, and I'm thinking he beat Andy Murray somewhere along the line. I think he was still rocking the blue. He was rocking the shirtless still.
Yeah, the shirtless blue. Yeah.
He may have won Toronto, which, I mean, again, they put that's still rare air. Like a lot of people haven't done the Wimbledon US Open double, let alone Wimbledon Toronto. So
he did that. He went to win the Olympics, right? And then he went to Toronto. I think he won that event, and then he flamed out against Murray in the US Open.
I do remember that.
I remember correctly. Yeah. So, and then he kind of ran out of steam towards the back end of the year. But like, I'm not comparing Nadal and Alcaraz, but like, you know, if you compare the two, right? Like maybe that shows where Nadal's a little bit ahead, but maybe he was more established on the tour because he already won a couple Frenches and stuff at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It might be like a little bit of complacency there, and I agree with your take. It's hard. He probably just didn't practice that much. I don't know what to take from it moving forward. That's where I have trouble here. Like he's allowed one bad week. I guess I want to.
You're gonna permit that, Manny? You're gonna permit him? Fan Friedman will permit him to have one bad week.
One more bad week, and I will not permit it. But I can tell you that.
I think it's the level of who he lost to and who he beat all in the same week. Like he beat Ben Shelton and he also beat Hubie Hurkacz. Those are like Ben Shelton, maybe a little less so than Hubie Hurkacz, but Hubie Hurkacz is still like a top 15 win. That's solid. And then going out to somebody who also is in the top 15 and Tommy Paul is nothing to like really and truly hang your hat like, you know, in a bad way on, especially because he lost in 3 sets and it was competitive. So I don't think there's anything to like really press any alarms or anything like that. You know, it just seemed like he was playing and adjusting to like a newfound celebrity and expectation on the court. That's it.
Yeah, I give him credit for playing as badly as he did to make it competitive. Like most guys that age and that, you know, like that would lose in straight sets, go away pretty easily.
Agreed.
Right?
Yeah.
I just won Wimbledon, so I guess that's positive.
Yeah, and he's still 20 years old. So I mean, these losses, like that loss he took at Rome before the French Open, everybody was like, "This is the most shocking thing in the world. What does this do for his French Open?" Like, that loss was worse than this one that he took to Tommy Paul. So, and he went on to do, you know, well at the French, win Wimbledon. So I'm not too alarmed.
Okay.
was looking at something I think is kind of interesting. So, last year and a half, Alcaraz's results after taking over a month off, right? Which is generally after like slams, things like that, right? So 21, after he had that big run at the U.S. Open to make the quarters, first round he lost to Murray in Indian Wells that October. Moving to 22, played the Australian as his first event of 22. Beat Tabilo and Lajovic, but then lost to Berrettini in the third round. Good match, not a terrible tournament, but also not not amazing for how good he ended up being. Mm-hmm. Went to Rio then a month after that. That was actually really only a 2-week layoff, but still wasn't great there. He lost a set to Minaur, beat Del Bonis 4-6. So again, not like the results we'd expect out of Alcaraz. Then I'm just going through, for completeness sake. Then between Roland Garros and Wimbledon, if you remember, he had the run to the quarters at Roland Garros. Then he took off until Wimbledon, almost lost the first round to Struff. And I mean, it continues onwards. I mean, after the US Open, you remember he lost in Davis Cup. To start the year this year in Buenos Aires, he had a hard time. I think he won the event, but it was not easy. He had several difficult matches. He lost a set to Giri. So, I do think there's also something to Alcaraz where, it takes him a week to get back in rhythm after he's been off.
Okay, that's true. Yeah, because he's so.
I think that's true of a lot of guys. I don't think Alcaraz is unique in that sense. I mean, I talk a lot, Manny, from a betting perspective when we talk about it, about avoiding guys on surface transitions, avoiding guys on layoffs, and I think that was just this. I think it's just it's a layoff issue. Now we'll talk about him more in Cincinnati preview about Cincinnati, but yeah, I'm not I don't know. I think I'm not surprised personally. I think that's my takeaway moving forward is I'm going to be really hesitant. I wouldn't really do it anyways. And Alcaraz is so short that you almost never can. But I think, he's a guy who probably needs a little bit of time to get back into the game after he takes time off.
Okay. Yeah. So you think he's going to be good in Cincinnati, right? You expect to see a different Alcaraz?
I think.
Mm-hmm. If he looks just as shaky, then I feel like at least my expectations of what to look for at the U.S. Open get just as shaky. If he looks shaky at 2 consecutive tournaments, it's oh, okay, maybe there's just a little bit of a drop off in level compared to where he was throughout the grass court season and clay court season, which again, he's extraordinary as the former teenager, now only 20-year-old, but I feel like ebbs and flows, especially in such a long tennis season, and he's quietly played a lot and won a lot. Obviously, he's quietly played a lot and then won a lot of big tournaments. So
he's played a lot of tournaments compared to a guy like Djokovic. I mean, that's a great point.
Yeah.
And he played 3 tournaments in the Golden Swing, which not very many top pros do. So that's a great take, Myles.
Yeah.
I think the level that he's playing at now, actually, in this Paul match and Hubie match, was kind of the level he was playing in Cincy and Montreal last year, to be honest. And then at the U.S. Open, when it's best of 5, that also plays a factor because he's just better, right? And it's hard to put a guy like that away in best of 5. So I don't know. Maybe even if he has a bad Cincinnati, it's not maybe as from a betting perspective, there might be actually value on Alcaraz because they might make him less of a favorite.
For Cincy, I think he's I think I'd seen an outright earlier. He was plus 150 or something for Cincy, and Djokovic is in the draw. I mean, the books aren't giving any favors there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it'll be fun to see him next week. I'm interested.
He has a potential rematch with Tommy Paul. I mean, we'll get to that later, but I mean, if he loses that again, then maybe. Then it's okay. Either that's a clear matchup issue or his level is just not up to what we've been seeing for most of the year.
Right.
But I agree with you, Myles. I think we all are in agreement. We're not really freaking out about it.
Nope.
No. Next guy, I guess we got to talk about the champion, right? Sinner.
Yeah, he does it. Finally, he lifts a really significant and big trophy, a Masters 1000 trophy for the first time. And I mean, not to go from congratulating him to trying to nitpick his win, but I did see some commentary on socials about I think one commentator said that he beat the best and he can beat the best, which I do in most perspectives agree with. But then you look at his draw, he beat Berrettini, who's not been in good form for the past 12 months, Monfils, who is just starting to put together back-to-back match wins. And in the semifinals, well, he got a walkover from Andy Murray, so there's a little bit of like, okay, he got an extra push into the next round. And then he beats Tommy Paul, again, not a bad win, but also not a stellar win. And then de Minaur in the final, not a bad win at all, but not a stellar, hey, I'm here, and I'm, like, I'm a top 3 player in the world. Yeah.
So I'm going to back that up, Myles. And I guess, again, if we go through the wins, right? So Berrettini's actually, to beat Berrettini 4-3, I actually think that's pretty good. Berrettini's tough on serve, and that's pretty much with ease against a guy like Berrettini, who's been pretty good on the grass. So I'm not that, upset over that. But he did drop a set to Monfils. I don't love that. A, because I lost a bet on it, but B, because I just don't. I mean, I think that if you want to be top 10, you should be straight setting Monfils. And Monfils, I thought, Manny. I mean, I don't know. You and I watched that match. Yeah. Like, I thought Monfils looked tired in that third set, and I thought that was a huge factor there. And like, Monfils is we know he's an older player. He doesn't play as much anymore. He just came back from injuries, so like, I'm not that impressed by that. Mm-hmm. He beat Paul after Paul had that really tough win versus Alcaraz, both mentally and physically. So to come back and beat Paul, and I didn't think he looked great in beating Paul. I thought Paul's back was bad the whole match. Remember, the trainer was on his back like the whole match. Like, I think there were 2 or 3 times that Paul went to that the trainer came out for Paul's back. And then he beat de Minaur in the finals, which is like, that's a great matchup for him. That's just like,
so far.
Yeah.
What?
That's his pigeon. I think that match win makes him 5-0.
Well, de Minaur is a lot of people's pigeons. So I talked about this a little bit. No, I mean, I talked about this a little bit. What?
He's Sissipas's pigeon.
He's a lot of people's pigeon because, like, so his stats against the top 20 de Minaur are quite bad. I think his win-loss is okay, but his when you look at like his points won, sets won, breaks, it's not good. And like, it makes sense, right? Because like de Minaur's he's really good at what he does, which is like have energy, compete, run around and get balls back. But like against the top guys, is that really enough against the top 10 guys? Like,
but let me ask you this, Brad. Why is de Minaur pretty good against Medvedev and terrible against other top teners?
I mean, I know he beat Medvedev this tournament. What is he against Medvedev?
But he beat him in Paris last year. It seems to be a decent matchup for him. And also
matchup too. Yeah.
And why is Sinner good against de Minaur and like amazing against de Minaur, where de Minaur has no chance but can't beat Medvedev to save his life?
I listened to a little bit of de Minaur's press conference after he won the semifinal, because Tennis Canada has been uploading pretty regularly and quickly. Actually, shout out to them. Like the press conference, whether win or lose for the players. And de Minaur said, like, he kind of alluded to the fact that he likes matchups against certain players, and he's experienced matchups where him getting an extra ball back might theoretically work, but in practice it doesn't. And I feel like Medvedev and Sinner are 2 examples of that. I feel like Sinner's ball gets a little bit more rotation on it, and just gets a little bit more hop in the court that de Minaur doesn't love. And Medvedev skids and a little bit more flatter through the court, especially on his backhand and his forehand. Like, I think Medvedev realized that he's never, at least I don't mention it or see it, should I say, that he's really high up on the RPMs week to week, forehand and backhand.
Right.
And neither is de Minaur. So I feel like that's a very comfortable feeling for him. And he just kind of soaks it in, because Medvedev essentially, based off where he's won, him having a Grand Slam, he does what de Minaur does. He does what de Minaur does well, even better, and with a more effective serve against the best in the world. De Minaur is maybe like a A- version of that, but sometimes Medvedev is just not on his game, and he's had some moments like that in the past couple of months.
Right.
That Roland Garros loss, the Wimbledon semifinal wasn't bad, but
and he's kind of resorting to that same level that he was at the end of last year, where he was.
Manny, I'm gonna go against you on this too, because Medvedev's 4-2 now against de Minaur. He's lost the last 2, but he was 4-0 against him before that. So, and like that match that Medvedev played against de Minaur this week was not good for Medvedev.
Yeah, I didn't see much of it. So yeah,
I saw a decent amount of it, I thought Medvedev just did not play well. It was one of the worst, the not as great Medvedev matches I've seen in a while. I think I saw the second set of it. It wasn't great. I mean, I told you what happened in the match. Medvedev bricked one of the easiest, like one of the worst volleys. Not maybe not one of the worst, but it was like 95 percentile of like just bricked the volley. I mean, like he was standing like 3 feet from the net, center of the court. And it was a floater, and somehow he bricked it. Like it was really, really bad. And then he double faulted. The next point, I think he double faulted twice in that game. Like, just wasn't a good performance overall for Medvedev. Medvedev had 5-1 in the first set tiebreak and blew that. Like it wasn't great. I mean, Medvedev, and like I think that's part of the problem for de Minaur is he kind of needs the opponent not to be great in order to win, right? Like if the opponent plays great, de Minaur is in real trouble.
It's true.
He needs that extra little percent of help most times. But I mean, his record post Wimbledon has not been bad. I think he lost to who did he lose at Wimbledon? I think I looked it up and I forgot that.
He lost to Humbert in Atlanta, which is not a great loss. You know, like that's not good. And then he
when I saw Humbert played great.
Yeah,
that's true.
Like again, but that's the problem, right? Like if the guy plays great, de Minaur's done.
If a guy plays out of his shoes, de Minaur doesn't really have the. De Minaur can't match somebody else playing really out of their shoes because his base level is always like at a really high gear, whereas other players I feel like have more gears to go up usually in matches. And de Minaur, and to his credit, de Minaur's level stays pretty consistently, but I feel like at the very elite level, you got to have extra gears, which kind of shows in his career thus far why he's only before this tournament why he's only ever been to a 4th round of a Masters tournament. Because in that
credit to him, he's 15 in the world. Playing that well.
Yeah, and I think it's really funny because I think kind of the definition of de Minaur's career is kind of that Acapulco win when he won Acapulco earlier this year. And I think I mean because of the draw, I don't know, man, if you had the same bet, I had like an 8-1 or a 10-1 outright on him, so I was pretty excited. But anyways, enough about my bragging about my betting. But my point with that is like de Minaur won Wimbledon or not Wimbledon, he won Acapulco. He got 3 really, really good matchups in the first 3 rounds. 2 guys weren't even ATP level in Taro. But then, man, you remember we watched him against Rune, who's a top 10 guy. But Rune just didn't play well tactically, and then just ran out of gas physically.
Right.
And we watched the same thing happen against against Tommy Paul in the final. So again, Myles, to your point, like de Minaur needs something extra to go his way. Now, to be fair, like if you want to talk if you want to talk, they say luck is when preparation meets opportunity. I feel like de Minaur is like the definition of that. Like
absolutely.
He needs luck, but damn, does he do all the preparation and give himself every opportunity and jump on the opportunity when that luck comes.
And and he doesn't choke too. He's not a choker. If he's a pretty decent closer. Like he kind of plays that same base level regardless of what the situation is. And that's also to him. And that Acapulco win, like despite the easy draw, he won that because he was physically fitter than those 2 guys he played. He was fitter than Rune and he was fitter than Paul. And
that's why I'm saying it's like in between, right? Because it's like it's like, like he does, like he gives himself every chance to win every match. And like some guys don't do that, right? There's plenty of guys on the tour who don't do that. And so, credit to him for that 100%. So
his countryman Kyrgios, that's a clear example of a guy that doesn't do that, right? And look who's higher in the rankings.
Sure.
I mean,
de Minaur is higher in the rankings than Kyrgios ever was.
Right? I can't believe that Kyrgios isn't going to win the Ace title this year.
De Minaur is top 15 and Kyrgios isn't even top 400. So that explains it.
Yeah, that explains it. And back to Sinner, kind of a way I kind of summarize Sinner is I think one thing he really struggles with is patient defense. That's why he struggles. He's good against Alcaraz because Alcaraz is a great defender, but he's not a patient defender. He always looks to get out of that pattern of playing patient, and he wants to kind of initiate offense, right? But the problem is Sinner just strikes the ball a little bit better than Alcaraz, like just slightly, right? Just pure ball striking, right? So that's why he struggles so much against Medvedev because Medvedev is such a patient defender and he's just willing to do that all day and he won't budge, right?
I don't think we've seen Sinner. I think he's getting there, but I think part of the issue and why he's had an issue against somebody like Medvedev is because Medvedev will really push your lungs, and he revels in doing that. And
Yeah.
Sinner, I don't think Sinner's out of shape by any means, but I feel like Sinner hasn't gotten that extra 1 or 2% in the stamina level to really get those big wins. And we've seen it in clutch moments, him just not be able to close because it feels like the stamina isn't 100%, which I mean, in fairness,
and stamina aside, he's also had plenty of issues with viral illnesses, injury. Like he's had a lot of physical issues. And the other thing, Manny, is like, this is the one guy where you can go ahead and bring it up, and I'm surprised you didn't. But like, lack of he can't play the whole court, Sinner. Like when he's in the front of the court, he's not nearly as good. Like if he can't play, obviously he can pound the forehand away, he's fine. But like he's not bad at moving forward, but he just doesn't do it enough. And I think that's why he struggles to win a lot of matches against like top 5 guys, especially guys who are patient defenders. Because like against a Medvedev, against a Djokovic, like the way to beat those guys is to eventually get to the net when you have a chance and put points away. And Sinner doesn't do that. So if balls come back, the rally just extends.
And that's why I think Sinner played those break points horribly against Novak at the Wimbledon, because he struggles against that patient defense. And he knows that Novak, in the back of his mind, he knows that Novak is just going to lock down on those big points and not miss. So he felt that pressure of having to go too big. The problem is he did it way too early in the rallies, and that's why he couldn't convert on break points. I don't think he broke once in that match. Am I correct, Myles?
Yeah, he played the break points terrible. There's a million different theories you could put out there for that, but he played the break points terrible.
But again, I think it's because he doesn't like that patient defense.
That's a good way to put it. I've never heard anybody describe it as patient defense, but I'm going to have to look at that because he is a very offensive player, but it's interesting that his offense doesn't really translate to really being at the net and putting away.
It doesn't.
Even
well, that's why he struggles, because patient defense is, you can't play patient defense against someone that's going to charge the net when they have an opportunity, right? And that's why Medvedev thrives, because he knows that he's not going to do that.
Yeah, he knows he's going to be tentative when it's time to really close out a point.
Exactly.
And he's just not going to.
And then even in this match against de Minaur, like the times when de Minaur got those 2 breaks back in the first set and like was kind of making progression, was when de Minaur was just kind of defending, right? Like, but defending with purpose and authority a little bit, like he wasn't just floating the ball back, right? Like you can't do that, but he was. So I don't know. That's.
I also wonder if part of the issue for Sinner against Medvedev, Manny, you and I had this conversation too, is Sinner's the best player in the game. And I think it's pretty hard to debate this, but on high balls, when he gets high balls, especially that forehand, he's amazing at those, man. Those chest high balls of just smacking those away. And like Medvedev doesn't give you any of those because he hits so flat. So I think that's also might be an issue.
Tsitsipas is really good at it too, but the difference with Sinner and Tsitsipas is he can do that on both wings. And that's what makes Sinner the best at it, in my opinion.
It's a little interesting because they're a little different. Like I feel like Tsitsipas does it more, but it's like coming to the net also. Like he'll like Sinner's just better at hitting that first ball for sure, but Tsitsipas is better at coming to the net for the second ball.
Right. True. I guess let's go to Tsitsipas then, like since we're kind of on that subject. So he lost to
Gael Monfils, which I didn't really see that one coming, especially a straight sets loss in like what 6-4, 6-3, 6-3, 6-4. Didn't really see that one happen.
That's like Miami Indian Wells Tsitsipas.
Yeah, when he just kind of looked confused out there, and he wasn't coming off the backs of a title in Los Cabos in that Miami and Indian Wells double. So it kind of looked like he was literally scratching his head out there, whether it was like due to jet lag, which could have really been a thing because he literally went from Mexico to Canada. You know what I mean? That has to be factored.
Well, it's a long flight and it's a 3-hour time zone difference. And I think he only had 2 off days. So like, I think that could have been a thing. Tsitsipas hasn't been, it's weird. I can't think of Tsitsipas, like, I'm confused by like what kind of player is Tsitsipas, because like sometimes he does okay on fast courts, but sometimes he doesn't. It seems like he's usually pretty good on slow courts, with the exception of this clay season, he wasn't great. But like outside of that, he's usually pretty good on slow courts. But like he sometimes has a hard time on fast courts, right? Like last year he lost, what was it, first round of the U.S. Open to Galan. Like he's had some, but then he's had some good results especially in Australia, right? He's done really well he's done well in Australia. So I'm a little confused by like what kind of player is Tsitsipas, but that was my first thought. And then my second thought was like, his scheduling is really weird, man, for a top guy. He seems to like just pick the favorite places that he wants to go vacation at with whoever. Because like if you look like even in grass, like he picked Mallorca, which is like the weirdest event. It's not really a grass, like a different grass.
I wouldn't put that past him. That actually sounds like probably what his thought process is. He's a creative, artsy, nothing's wrong with those things.
Guy.
But he comes off like a pseudo intellectual, like somebody that's not. I wouldn't believe everything that comes out of his mind because he's not like a super. He tries to be quotable when he really isn't. So I feel like he tries to look through life with like.
Well, he uses ChatGPT for his quotes. I don't know if you saw that, Myles, on social media. Like he posted like a. He posted like a congratulations to Alcaraz, and then somebody did a chat GPT for like congratulations to Alcaraz, and it came out with like literally like word for word exactly what Tsitsipas had used.
He did something earlier. Like I think there was a guy that I interact with all the time on tennis Twitter that gave simple props to Jim Courier for being a good commentator. And like the next day, Tsitsipas rigged the whole entire tweet and maybe changed like 2 words to make it seem like it was his own. But everybody was like, "This is the exact same tweet, my guy." Like literally, both of them had traction, so everybody saw both of them and they put them together and were like, "Are you serious?" Like, but I get what you're saying about him being confusing because I'm not sure where I put his career, his trajectory, none of that stuff. Like week to week to week, it kind of all shifts, and maybe that's why he got the coaching change officially with Mark Philippoussis now. So I don't know.
But that was hardly official though. Like I don't know if we talked about this. Was it you that talked to us about this a couple of days ago, or were we talking to somebody else? Man, we were talking about this and like I don't feel like Tsitsipas picked Philippoussis because he's the best coach. I feel like he picked Philippoussis because Philippoussis had worked with him previously. Yeah, like if you're Tsitsipas, like I don't think he needs Philippoussis as his coach. Like there's
because he's worked with him previously and he knows at this point he doesn't want to work with his dad anymore. It's like, okay, well, at least my dad knows I'm going to somebody I've worked with already. So hey, that's what it seems like. That's what it seems like to me.
That's what it feels like. Because like, what is Philippoussis going to do? Tell Tsitsipas to serve like like teach him to serve a little bit better. Like that's not Tsitsipas's problem.
No,
he might fix that slice or like encourage him to think about something different when he slices because his slice could definitely improve.
That's true.
Like,
that's true.
I mean, my like if I would pick a coach for him, I would go with Mikhail Yuzhny. That's the guy that could help Tsitsipas because whatever Yuzhny did during his career, that's what Tsitsipas doesn't do.
But is that ever going to work mentally, man?
No, but you have to improve your weaknesses. That's the problem with Tsitsipas. Like his strengths are unbelievable. Right?
But mentally, it's like I just can't see the discipline working. Like I can't see Tsitsipas being disciplined enough to work with Yuzhny. He seems like a pretty disciplined
I agree,
dude.
but I just think he's the one top 10 player that has the most blatant weaknesses. Like if I was playing him, I would know where to hit every time. I mean, I'm not saying that would be successful because his backhand is 100 times better than my strengths, right? A gazillion times. But I'm just saying like his weaknesses are just they're obvious. It's the return of serve and the backhand, right?
And if you get him on a good day, you can be competitive because like some days his game just doesn't look like it can blow somebody off the court that in theory he kind of should be doing. And then I actually watched the match. Like he took a loss to Richard Gasquet earlier this season, and I was like, how did we get here? Like again, kind of like
I mean, he's had about 10 of those. He lost to Hoffman in Mallorca, didn't he? He's had about 10 bad losses this year, and that might not even be an exaggeration. Like
just confusing stuff. So
confusing stuff. Why were you laughing so hard, Brad? Were you laughing at me or with me?
I guess both. I was thinking like just so Manny and I actually played tennis with each other for reference. And like I was just thinking like Manny talking about somebody who like has strengths and weaknesses. And like I would know where to hit the ball with his weakness. Thinking if Tsitsipas hit the ball to your backhand, man, I'm wondering how many are coming back.
0.
Because Manny's Myles, for reference, Manny is all forehand when he plays tennis.
Nothing's wrong with that. I mean,
and
a lot of people have made good careers.
The problem is I don't even come to net.
You're against a forehand wall. I get it. I get that.
Yeah. I don't even come to net and I don't move nearly as well. But yeah, I'm just, professionally top 10 and you can't hit a backhand slice and can't get, like return. Like he was during the grass court season, he was essentially a serve bot.
His serve can do well, and there's been a couple of times this season where the first serve percentage has been amazing. Because like if you're putting it in there in the 120s and you're at a percentage of 80 to 90, you're doing really, really good. But some of those matches he didn't necessarily win, or those tournaments he didn't win after serving so amazingly. So
and but if Tsitsipas is making that first serve, he's almost unbeatable. If he's making his first serve at a high rate, like he's almost unbeatable unless you're going to beat him in tie breaks. Because he almost becomes unbreakable then, because his forehand behind it is so darn good.
Yeah. That's true. But I also think that Murray match at Wimbledon was blown out of proportion. I think it was such a hyped up match. I didn't think so initially, but like watching more, like if you go back to our Wimbledon pod, I didn't think so. I thought it was like going to be a confidence booster for him. And like Brad was 100% right on this. Like that match wasn't that impressive. It was just so hyped up. And the fact that it went 5 sets and was dramatic and stuff, like that made everyone seem that Tsitsipas played this amazing match, but he really didn't. I mean, is Murray that impressive, really? I mean,
I'm going to go find that clip, Manny, and play it for you like 5 times.
Yeah, you can post it on Twitter if you want, but
I think it was impressive because Andy Murray played at a higher level and pushed Tsitsipas to kind of like, maybe, at least in my mind, he pushed Tsitsipas to come out of his shoes a little bit more than I thought he would have actually had to. And he came out because Murray probably should have won one of those sets he lost. So,
I mean, I overall was not impressed with that match.
Yeah.
I watched a fair amount of that match, and I thought it was like, I thought the crowd and the announcers going nuts is what made the match, as opposed to like the tennis making the match. Like the fact that anytime either of them hit a ball, like Chris Fowler was like screaming and getting all excited, like is kind of what made that match.
Yeah. Every time Tsitsipas would hit a nice forehand, he would go crazy. Like, no. Yeah. Taylor Fritz, choke job against Murray, de Minaur, lost that 5-1 lead, and like honestly, he got what he got. I mean, if you lose a 5-1 lead, I know he won the second set, but it just probably, you get what you deserve. That's the only way I can put it. It's like karma for losing that
right?
set.
Like de Minaur won that match because he was more fit. Fritz gassed out in the third. But again, like what like good on, and like again, like for de Minaur, like what other guy on the tour like keeps fighting that set out from down 5-1 multiple set points with the guy serving? Like nobody else. Everybody else just tosses the racket in. Half the tour starts walking around the racket in one hand with the handle facing the way to hit the ball. Like but de Minaur weighs every point, and give credit to de Minaur, but yeah, you still shouldn't lose that set from 5-1 up. But it is funny because like de Minaur is the one guy who could have pulled off that comeback.
I think Taylor Fritz was kind of stuck into a weird place too, because did he go from Atlanta to he went from Atlanta
or Washington.
DC. For some kind of reason, I was listening to his Tennis Channel interview with Prakash Armitage, and he said he got stuck in Detroit and had to drive the rest of the way to Toronto, which I'm not sure how much of an arduous thing that is, but he basically said his sleep schedule, similar to Tsitsipas allegedly, was way off. And I think he got like the very first match at 11 a.m. the first day before the de Minaur match, and he was just off, but he squeaked through that one. And de Minaur is, again, the wrong person to play if you feel even a little bit off physically. Yeah, he's the wrong person to play. And I'm personally worried.
Was that interview after or before was it after the de Minaur match or before?
It was before the de Minaur match, after his opening round win.
Okay, so it was after a win, because I was going to say if it was after the de Minaur loss, I'd label that as a pure excuse.
Yeah, it was definitely before.
I do remember hearing that and being like, that's interesting. No, but I mean, Fritz did play. He did play Washington, so I guess he went. But like, it's also interesting though in the sense that like, honestly, like of those 4 events, Fritz might care less about Toronto than Atlanta, Washington, or Cincy. Just because they're like American events where like, and like Atlanta and Washington are like winnable events for him. Whereas like Toronto, that was going to be a tough event to win. Alcaraz in the draw, Medvedev in the draw. Like,
I don't know, Brad. There's been some moments where like Taylor Fritz has had opportunities. Like he took advantage of that opportunity last year at Indian Wells to get a big trophy, but in Washington, like just thinking about the last couple of weeks, in Washington, he lost to Talon Griekspoor. Not throwing Talon Griekspoor under the bus, but that's a match he should be winning.
Yeah.
It just is. He lost to Michael Emer at Wimbledon a couple weeks after that, up 2-0, a match he should be closing out. And he has a even larger so at the Grand Slams, because it's so popular and it's like obvious, but he does this sort of kind of regularly where I'm like, okay, well, this is an opportunity for him to lift the title, and he doesn't. So I think a Toronto win would have kind of helped me change that narrative a little bit, but he didn't get it again. So
it seems like his motivation is the same regardless of what tournament he plays. I don't really buy that narrative with Fritz. He's just kind of he looks flustered wherever he is. That's how I view it. And then
I get the vibe. Sorry, go ahead.
And then with Fritz, like I think his problem is that he plays only one way, and he's only capable of playing one way. And it's even more than Sinner, right? Because Sinner's quality of ball striking is at a higher level than Fritz. So if you do that at such a high level, you can afford that a little bit. But Fritz, like, he has no plan B whatsoever. He has no.
I don't think it's just that. I think the problem is, like, I don't know. It'd be interesting to hear your take on this, Myles, because I've had this take for a while on Fritz, and we talked about it a few times. You and I have, Manny. I just don't think he's a great athlete. Like, he looks very stiff when he's moving around the court.
That too.
You guys can't see me on the pod, but I'm like amening all of this because he's a really good tennis player, but I just think there was a little bit of inflation in 2022. I mean, everybody went through inflation, right? But I feel like his game got just that little bit extra, like 5% better, which is great, but I don't think it was sustainable. And I also think people have kind of figured out and felt his ball enough to kind of sink where his career high or sink where his absolute peak matches up to the rest of the field. Because I think he's great, and I think his level is probably going to be winning 250s and 500s and maybe making it to fourth and quarterfinals. But like the spark needed to win 7 matches in a row and win a slam, or even 6 in a row to win a Masters, it's just a little bit out of grasp for him to do consistently. Like pick up 2 or 3 in a season. I can't.
Yeah, I mean, do we think he's like, what is he like? He's somewhere in like the 5 to 15. I think he's destined to float around between 5 and 15. Like that just is what he is because he doesn't have the athleticism.
Yeah.
Like if you look at the top guys, man, they're all exceptional athletes. Like Djokovic, Alcaraz, Medvedev. Like these guys are just. I mean, the athleticism gap is insane between these guys and Fritz.
Yeah, I would agree.
But the thing is that
Sinner's a significantly better athlete than Fritz. It's like Sinner moves around the court fine. He's just a little tentative coming to the net, but like
he makes up for it with even more explosive. He makes up for it with even more explosive ball striking. Like Fritz's ball striking is not bad, but Sinner's is just 5% better, and that makes a difference when you.
Well, I feel like Fritz's ball striking is very clean, but Myles, you said it right. You said it perfectly. Explosive. He's just he doesn't have like he's stiff. It's 2 issues with the athleticism. He's stiff, and then he's not explosive. And so like it's just I feel like it's just such a capper when you have those 2 issues. Like, how do you beat the top guys if they're more explosive than you, so they have more power, and if they move quicker and better than you around the court? Like it's tough. It's like I don't know what Fritz can do to actually get better at this point. Like other than become a better athlete.
He's also not great at the net either. Like that's not his forte. So I mean,
because he's stiff and not explosive. Like so that's kind of like you need explosion to get into the net, and you need to not be stiff when you're there, right? Like
yeah, I guess depending on which volley you get,
Brad and I talked about it a bunch. Like with Fritz, we kind of picture him as like growing up as a kid. He would come back from school, go to the tennis club, and just bash a ton of balls. And that's all he would do.
But that's real, right? Like, isn't his dad or grandpa like the owner of Macy's or something? Like, that's not a false narrative, man.
Yeah, I believe his mom played on the tour, and he is the grandchild of the person that started or owned Macy's. So him having a tennis court at his disposal to just kind of like go on a random Wednesday when he was 6 years old, that makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah.
So yeah. That's kind of how he plays.
But he may not have played many other sports because he certainly doesn't look like it when he plays.
But unfortunately, he didn't practice any slicing or drop shots or anything. He just practiced hammering forehands and backhands. I mean, it's gotten to nearly
5 in the world.
5 in the world. So I guess I shouldn't be the one critiquing him, but yeah,
he's a darn good tennis player. I just think 5 to 15 is where.
All right, let me ask you this question.
happens.
Do you think he wins another Masters 1000 by the end of 2024?
If he gets a Sinner-like draw that Sinner got in Toronto, yes, possibly. But then there's a world I live in where he kind of doesn't make good.
All
on
right, so would you put $100 on it?
No.
Okay.
At 1-1, Manny, no way. Like at 1-1, no way. But like, I agree with Myles. Like he could, but he would need a draw that didn't have any top 10 guys is what he would need. And then he's got, or maybe has one top 10 guy and he's able to get a win. Because I mean, sometimes he's competitive with the top 10 guys. It's not like he never beats those guys, but like he would need a combination of that. And it's just like,
what odds would
he's
you put
not
on
beating
that?
multiple guys in the top 5 in the same term. It's just not happening for him.
What odds would you put on that? Where you would take it?
One Masters by the end of 24?
Yeah.
At least 3-1, 4-1, maybe. I mean, it's got to be a really everybody else has to take the trash out for him. You know what I mean? Like he can't get the trash to the curb himself. Or rather, the trash has to take the good goods out to the curb, right? Like,
yeah,
like it's like all he can do is take the trash to the curb. Like
he can't take the trophy out of the trash. That's
what.
He can't take the trophy out of the trash.
No, he can. He can take the trophy out of the trash. He just can't get the trash to the curb.
Okay. All right.
He can drive home from work and pick the trophy up on the way to the driveway.
Man. So who else? We talked a little bit about Medvedev. We talked about Minaur.
I mean, Casper Ruud got beaten early again. I think this is just Casper just can't do quick courts, right? Like even the U.S. Open's a little slower, so it helps him. But these courts are just too quick.
He lost to
Fokina. Oh, we gotta talk Foki, man.
Yeah.
We gotta talk Foki. Foki is one of my favorite. Foki's a favorite guy on this pod.
Yeah, well, not yesterday when he screwed up. Oh, he was awful, man. Awful.
How do you go through? How do you make a Masters semifinal and then hold serve one time in the match in a Masters semifinal?
I don't think he allowed himself to kind of live in the moment, because I know a couple of like post-match interviews on the court or whatever, he's been saying he's intentionally tried to like bring down his, I don't want to say antics, but he plays with a lot of flavor and stuff out there, and I think that served him well up until a point, and I think he got to like on the precipice of the biggest win of his life and like seeing a Masters 1000 in his rearview mirror and kind of was like, oh, let me keep this going, and kind of got a little too stiff, and he may have been like having an injury issue too that he didn't publicly say. So he just looked like he was either gassed or kind of shook by the moment a little bit, you know? So I felt for him, but he played great.
Yeah, I got kind of turned off, and it was so bad. I turn it on. It would be so bad. I turn it back off, and then I turn it back on like a half hour later and hope it was getting better. Like just that the level of play was getting better. Not even like Foki was winning. Like at that point, it was like hopefully like the level of play is getting better, and it wasn't. Like that was just a really, really bad match from him. But like it's amazing because when he's good, man, his talent level is so high, and he can be so fun to watch.
Yeah,
and he competes really hard too. To give him credit for this, like I mean, like okay, he only held serve once in the match when we're making fun of him, but he broke Minaur back 3 times in the second set. Like he did try to hang in there and win that match. He just.
What do we always say, Brad? Whenever he breaks, he gets broken immediately back. It doesn't even matter if he's ahead or he's behind. It happens all the time. I think it's just that little bit of mental relaxation that he goes throughout a match, right? Like he could use a low dose of Adderall. Like I actually think that would help him.
I was thinking like during this segment, I'm like, he hasn't found an appropriate balance, if that makes any sense. Like he hasn't found an appropriate balance to like how to get up for like intense, like really good matches or like, you know, big show court matches, and then how to like level it out to where he's playing intensely enough, but not too full of anxiety where he's giving his opponent underarm serves in crucial moments.
Right, we've seen that, right? No, but like that's a really good point, Myles. Like he's
a great point.
He's on one end or the other. Either he's like too loose and like making like silly errors all over the place, or then like, but then it also seems like when he gets like really like locked down, then he can't. Then he like tightens up, and then he like either stops moving. Or he starts bashing the ball because he gets like tight and gets confused too. Like I think you're right. It's just like it's that balance of like having that flow, but like managing it enough in order to not, in order to not eat. I mean, we call it Foki brain, right? He just like, if Lillard looks like he locks up and he goes to either one extreme or the other, and he either like plays too defensive of a shot, or he goes for some wild, crazy thing, whether it be like an underarm serve, or he goes for a massive forehand that he hits off the fence, or he goes for like a terrible drop shot that ends up halfway up the net. Like, but it's one or the other. He like just in like oh man, it's tough. It's really tough watching because you're like,
we hear your pain. We
Yeah.
hear the pain in your voice. Like you just wanted to do better. It's like he's like your son. Like, do better.
Is he in the 25? Is he in the 25 and younger crowd? He is, right?
he's 23. Yeah, he's still got time to figure it out.
I mean, I'm not penciling him in to be a Masters 1000 champ, but I feel like I can confidently say, in time, just in maturity, he'll find a balance, because it's way too obvious that feels like the thing that he's missing.
I will say this too, Myles. Again, credit to Foki. It doesn't seem like it's a discipline issue. So
Yes.
if we contrast him with like Shapovalov, who's like an easy guy to contrast him with in terms of like where the mental block is real and it's a real problem, with Shapo, it seems like a lack of discipline.
Yep.
Whereas I don't think it's a lack of discipline with Fokina. It's just like he mentally has to figure it out. It's like a different issue. Like here's a fun bet. Like, we just talked about Taylor Fritz.
Yeah.
I've got Foki to win more Masters 1000 than Fritz for sure.
By like the end of the career, or by the end of 2024?
No, by the end of the career.
I don't necessarily agree, just because I feel like Fritz's level is more, even though it's not necessarily peak, like it's not peak with the rest of the guys, but I feel like his level is just that much more consistent that he would actually take advantage of the opportunities that he had. Whereas Fokina, I haven't seen enough of him actually being balanced in those big moments to feel like he's going to have more Masters than Taylor.
Well, if you get plus odds on Foki, I would totally take him, even at like plus 110, plus 120, just like. But because I think also the clay Masters play up for Foki and play down for Fritz, so that's probably where I would lean Foki. But it's close, and probably if that was a bet on a sports book, like, you'd get plus money on Foki probably, and I take that. But
yeah, I think he's he's a guy who he's still only 23. Like, there's a chance we could be talking about him in 2025 as a top 5 player. Like,
I wouldn't be upset at it.
Yeah. Like, what?
I wouldn't be upset at that. I think that'd be pretty cool, actually.
Yeah, but he's not that far away from figuring it out.
No, he's not. But it's been a full, like, he's had a good year, right? And it's been a full 6 months where he hasn't really made any improvements in that area. Mm-hmm. It's actually worse now than it was in probably.
But I feel like that's gonna happen when I feel like that's a light flick situation where it's gonna take time and the light will flick on. I don't feel like it's as much like a stepwise improvement. I feel like it's like either, and then maybe it won't, right? For some guys it doesn't, but like I feel like at some point it's either gonna I don't know, something's gonna happen, it's gonna click, or it's not. But like I feel like it's a more binary thing, personally.
Okay. I don't know. It's hard to say. It is because I haven't seen any improvement in that area. Like, I want to see a small progression before a click. Like,
and it might not. Like, I'm not convinced. I'm not saying it will. Like, that's why I thought that the Foki versus Fritz question was interesting, because I think it's like, because I mean, you could make a good argument either way. Myles made a perfectly good argument for Fritz. I could see an argument either way for it.
Yeah. How about Tommy Paul?
He's another guy who's weirdly had a good year, but also a bad year. Not bad. I shouldn't say bad, but he's had in a weird way, he's playing the best tennis of his life, but in some other ways, he hasn't taken advantage of playing the best tennis of his life, if that makes any sense. Like, a semifinalist in Australia, great. He got to the final of Acapulco, was a little bit gassed, and then gets to the semifinals of Toronto. Those are 3 like important victories, but if you really go into the weeds and see the other losses he's taken, I've kind of been like, Tommy, like, what are we doing here? Like, he lost 6 match points to Felix Auger-Aliassime in Indian Wells, and in hindsight, that looks like a bad loss now, because Felix has not had a great season at all. So I'm happy for him, but I also feel like there could be some improvements as well,
Well, Manny, I told that it was Tommy Paul. He's another guy. It's funny that Manny brought up Paul right after Foki, because like Paul, it's really only at the end of matches, but he really freezes. Like, if you watch those match points against FAA, Paul completely froze like a deer in headlights. He just like, for a guy who's an amazing athlete, whose best part of his game is probably his footwork and movement, every time he had a moving, and he started missing balls because he stopped moving, and like, that's the thing he does best, and all of a sudden he couldn't move his feet. It was like, and it's not the first time we've seen it from him. He's another guy that struggles to close sets and matches.
Fritz and Acapulco, he had, 3 match points there, too. Couldn't close out in the second. He got it through in the third, but that's just because Fritz cramped.
But that's what cost him the final, because he took the first set against Minaur, and then he gassed out. And like, I think he lost the final in that match versus Fritz that semi when he lost those 3 match points. Then had to play a whole extra hour in that humidity. You remember, I think one guy was vomiting, the other guy was cramping. That Paul Fritz semi in Acapulco was a complete mess. Like,
his semi against Djokovic, also he had opportunities, I believe, in the first set or maybe the second set. I think one of them went to 7-5, and he really was the better player for most of that set. It's just when it was time to like actually win some of those game points, he just didn't. He didn't really come through. And if he finds a way to kind of stand in the fact that he's one of the best athletes on the ATP tour right now, I feel like he's going to be lifting some of these trophies. But there's just a hint of what's the word? He doesn't. I'm not saying he does not believe he's a top player, but there's a hint of doubt. I look at his eyes and I see a hint of doubt of like, oh, I really am a guy that can lift these Masters 1000s and get the semis of majors. Like, if he believes that, then maybe.
Let's throw Paul into that conversation. Does he win more Masters 1000s than Fokina and Fritz?
Great question. I say no. Just based off of resume so far, he still only has 1 title to his name, I think. That Stockholm title in 2021, excuse me.
2021.
Shapovalov won it in 2019, I believe.
Right.
Yeah, I mean,
that's it. That's his one title.
That makes me concerned. Like, he's been on tour for a while now. He's also in that 25, 26-ish range. Like, I mean, he definitely has as much time as he wants, barring injury. But I don't know if he's going to have. Granted, we're talking about 0 to 1 here, because Fritz only has 1, and Fokina and Paul have 0. But I think the likelihood that Fritz gets 1 more is a little bit higher than Paul and Fokina getting 1. But we'll see. A post-Djokovic world will look crazy. So we'll see.
A post-Djokovic world is going to be crazy.
I don't know about that, because Paul, I feel like, is improving at a slightly higher clip than Fritz right now. And I also think he's a way better athlete, way better mover. So I think he has more upside, is what I'm thinking.
But, Paul also isn't super explosive either. And Fokina is a much more explosive athlete, right? And like, that's what makes me think that he could really get there. Whereas like Paul, he's got a nice serve, actually. Like, his serve is a little bit, I think it's a little bit underrated, because he does get up there to like 125, 130, and people forget that sometimes. So it's not really a serve issue, but like, he just doesn't seem to have a whole lot of power off the ground either way. His strokes are nice.
I mean, his backhand,
they don't seem to be like amazing.
His backhand is really good. I think his forehand needs some work.
It can get a little short.
Sprays.
He and Sinner played like a 45, 46 ball rally, and some of the shots that Paul hit, like especially off their forehand, were bouncing inside the service line. Yeah. Like, that's how short it can get. Like,
that's where he gets the most tentative, actually, the forehand. He kind of pops up on it. He doesn't really hit through it. Court actually has this issue, I feel. But Paul, of all the American guys, maybe Tiafoe excluded, because Tiafoe's a great athlete too, but like, I think he's probably the best mover of all the American guys. Paul,
laterally, like side to side.
Oh, laterally, yeah.
Putting a ball in play extra, yeah. I would say he's above Tiafoe and Fritz for sure. Yeah.
Yes, yeah. Tiafoe's probably better at moving forward, I would say,
and covering the whole court. Yeah.
We talked Tiafoe briefly. That was a really lackadaisical match against Raonic, man. That was just like I thought, like, not just the fact that he lost to Raonic, but it was the way he looked. Like, he looked like he didn't want to be there. Like, he just looked sad the whole time. Like, even when he would play a good point, he wouldn't get excited. Like, the only time he got excited, the only time he looked excited was when he was talking to Fergus Murphy after he ran into the net. That was the only time the entire match he looked excited.
When he clinched that, when he was getting closer to clinching that first set, he was doing the fist pumps and looking really intense at his box. But after that, it kind of fizzled. And I think once he realized that Milos wasn't going away, which I thought Milos actually would, because Milos hasn't been putting together matches, and I thought he would just be kind of drained from a really physical first set, but he didn't. And I feel like Francis probably felt like he didn't have the reserves from doing so much in Washington, and I feel like he's in a very interesting emotional place, knowing he's a top 10 player, but knowing that top 10 ranking might not be there for that much longer because he has semifinal points to defend at the U.S. Open. So I feel like
He's
all
a
of
guy
that
who
is
needs a big week in Cincinnati, man.
yeah,
It
and
is.
he's starting
Well,
off
tonight-
hard. Yeah,
Starts tonight against Greeksport, where I think
yeah.
I think it's a 50-50
tricky.
match.
Definitely tricky. Yeah.
It's a tricky match. I wouldn't say 50-50, but I definitely agree with Manny. I think it's definitely not 60-40. It's a tricky match.
Yeah.
I hit the over 22.5, and I hit the plus 2.5 games for Greeksport.
I agree with you. It's a tricky match.
It's very tricky, very tricky. And Greeksport's not a guy you want to play if you're kind of not fully confident, because he can take a racket out of anyone's hand.
Exactly.
You know?
He's strong.
So,
yeah.
Monfils, where do you think his kind of upside is? How much further can he take this? Is this like
I would put him in the same bucket as Murray. Obviously, very different players, but like I think he can get back to carrying his ATP Tour card. But like, I'm not convinced this is going to be like legitimately carrying his card, right? Not needing PRs and wild cards everywhere, but like, I think that's the max, and maybe there's a year of that or 2 years left, and then he's done. But like, he's I don't know, like this was a good week for him, and I think like is he going to win anything? No, he's not going to be like a significant player. Like if he gets to bat like somewhere between like 50 and 70, if he plays a full year, and he probably won't, but like if he played a full year, I could see him getting to 50 to 70. I think that's his top end at this point. Like he's just like, how many matches can he be able to play? And he won't be able to do because he won't be able to play enough matches, I don't think. But like, that's why it's a theoretical thing. But like he's because I just think it's a physicality issue. Like he got tired against Sinner. That's what happened.
His brand of tennis has always been physical and relied on his body to kind of be there. And it still does, and he's managing it okay. But I based on what he's been saying and how he's been playing, I totally see like an announcement happening between now and either just before the French Open or after the French Open, going into the Summer Olympics, that this is going to be like the last tournament, because he's
Summer Olympics are in Paris, right?
Yeah, he's dropping too many hints, and he just had a daughter. He said he loves being with her. Just putting that all together, I don't see him.
I think you're right, Myles. I think you're right. Like I don't think I think if he could, but I think you're right. I don't think he will. I think he'll play a few tournaments he wants to play. You're probably right. He'll probably play tournaments he wants to play and then bow out next year.
Yeah,
and he probably felt the pressure of his wife doing so well in at Wimbledon, right? So like kind of this was his match almost, right? Because he wouldn't be able to replicate a quarterfinal run at a slam where it's best of 5. I don't think that's possible. That's in his cards right now. So
I think winning 3 best of 3 set matches in a row is kind of where he is.
Yeah.
And that's not a title anywhere. He's not even 250 levels. Wow. But I mean, he can give you a show because he's always been doing that. So,
and I think that's kind of what I'm hoping for Monfils, is that you just get a couple more shows out of him, because like he can put on a show, and I think he will see that. Like, I think you'll see him play a few more really good, close, fun matches. Fun Gael Monfils style matches. I mean, look, the way he played Baez, where he played that epic 5-setter against Baez at the French. Like, I think you'll see a couple more of those before he goes away. But yeah.
All right. Anything else in Toronto? I feel like
Korda went down early again. Manny, your favorite guy.
Who?
Korda.
Oh, geez. I had enough of him.
He's 1 or 2 more bad losses away, and I'm trying not to go down harshly on him because he did have a wrist injury, I believe.
It can be hard.
Was it a wrist injury?
It was a wrist.
Those can be tricky, but he's they can. But he's 1 or 2 more bad losses away from me thinking he's a little overhyped, because he may be. I'll put it like this: he may be closer to what people think JJ Wolf's ceiling is, as opposed to what we were just talking about Tommy Paul's ceiling. I just think people get a little bit confused because his game looks so solid and smooth and technically sound. And it's like, of course he should be a top 15 player, but his ceiling might be 35 to 20, anywhere in that range.
Okay. No, I'm already at the overhyped narrative. Like, I'm already there. I don't need to see more. Like, just the way the Shevchenko match went in Washington, that was ugly. couldn't even win back-to-back matches here. Etch, it was just because he couldn't play in the wind. Like, I actually think that match would be way closer if it wasn't like 30-mile-per-hour winds. And who did he lose to here? Vukic? Like, that's
who's been playing well, but that's still not a good.
You can't be losing to Vukic. You can't. I mean, that can't be a serious loss. Like,
I mean, I won some money off of that, so I was happy. That was one of my like few correct matches I picked this week. But that's because I'm just on a core to fade. Like, I think his serve doesn't have. We talked about this on the spaces. Like, just doesn't exude that sting and that placement that's necessary for a top 10 guy. And I think his forehand is a huge.
Like a lot of the other Americans, smooth. So and Quarter's a lot smoother, but not really explosive.
Yeah.
Similar. His dad played professionally, and all his siblings or most of his siblings played golf. So I'm assuming that there wasn't a tennis court too far away in their house in Florida or whatever. So he probably got off of school at 7, 8, 9, 10 years old and hit a whole bunch of balls and perfected the craft of hitting tennis balls, but not necessarily.
But
an explosive athlete.
It's really interesting you're saying all this, Myles, because it's really we just talked about 5 Americans with the same issue. Yeah, and like I think it's a real thing. Like, American tennis is so predicated on money. And like you see this in soccer as well, where what we're left with is like, with the exception of Tiafoe, and it's a weird thing to say like that, but I do actually think it's true in a tennis sense. Like a bunch of like non-athletic, you're left with like a bunch of like not creative, not the best athletes. Like your tennis players are like true tennis guys, but it's not like you don't have like the creative, like if you think about like soccer is similar, where it's like another global sport where like the American men are not good. Like the American men, like this is the thing, like the American men are like great at knowing where to go, how to play the game, the mental part of the game. When it comes to like creative scoring, it's terrible.
When it gets to like the raw, who separates the people that are meant to be athletes and the people who have just been good at having the access to be professional athletes, I feel like that's where the Americans get lost. And we've seen that over the fact that we haven't seen an American man lift a Grand Slam title in 20 years. Like, they've been great. They've been top 20 players, but usually the guy that is lifting the Grand Slam trophy or the biggest trophies are the best athletes and have been the most explosive, dynamic, and more thoughtful for that 2-1 week or whatever process. The men, I can't check all those boxes off for them like I can for other players.
I mean, we're seeing this in basketball too, with like the Jokic's and the Luka Doncic's of the world, just knowing how to play the game. It's just a higher level, right?
But we still have, but America still has really good athletes playing basketball. That's the difference, right? Like America still has really good athletic basketball players. Like nobody's gonna say LeBron James and Kevin Durant aren't athletic.
Well, LeBron is
like
right, but yeah, I mean, there's more money and hype in basketball. I agree, but I'm just saying, like, other countries are catching up in terms of like just how to play sports in general.
A little bit, but I feel like in tennis and soccer, it's different because like you're missing that raw creativity and the raw like because they're both big money sports, right? Like soccer, tennis, like these are like. And like this is what happens when your program is based on money. You get people who have the means, but not necessarily people who have the skills.
Yeah. I mean, the winner of Toronto got $1 million, and the winner of Cincinnati coming up is going to get $1 million. But the guys that lost second round, third round are still bringing home 6-figure or almost 6-figure paychecks for 48 hours of work. Like that's not bad. It's not bad at all. Like that's really good.
Not. Yeah, not bad.
Not bad at all.
The only other guy I wanted to call out is Mackey made a quarter of a Masters, a pretty good, damn good run for him.
Mackie McDonald. Yeah, he beat Rublev. That was a good win. He needed some wins.
And I wasn't surprised. I actually bet Mackey in that match to win a set. But yeah, I mean, Mackey's he's tough against the right matchup because he's kind of a weird player. He's got that weird flat ball. Like, I mean, his ceiling's obviously a lot. Like he'll just be a journeyman pro. I mean, he is what he is. But it was cool to see Mackey. I like Mackey. I have a little bit of a soft spot for Mackey. It was cool to see him make a Masters, a quarters run at a Masters.
Yeah, the difference in that Foki Mackey match was just pure ball quality, right? Like Foki's ball had way more bite and sting.
Well, and Foki's just a much better tennis player. Like, yes. I mean, like he's a better athlete. He's better. Like Mackey is, but he's nice. I mean, Mackey will have a pro career. He's nice. Congratulations. Like He'll make a nice career on the pro tour. Like he's
He also can't volley to save his life.
Oh, I know. That was sad.
Ugh, it was just terrible. But
all right. So that does it for Toronto. We can move to Cincy.
I guess so, yeah. Let's move on to Cincy. This draw is stacked. I mean, this qualifying draw was.
So I guess a couple of things before we get into the draw, a couple of interesting notes. So I heard they changed the surface.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, it still was hard, obviously, but they changed they actually changed the surface. I think they're playing on the same surface that the Australian Open uses now. They've changed their hard court surface like 3 or 4 times in the past like 5 years.
I think they changed. Well, that's because they changed ownership, and they're not. I shouldn't say secretly, but I think they're going to try to make a swift and sudden move to Charlotte, either next season or coming up soon. Like that's been in the talks for a while. You guys know that?
Charlotte, North Carolina.
Yeah.
That's a shame because like since it's been in Cincinnati for like 50 years, right?
Yeah, I mean that's the pushback on it because it's like the slam of the Midwest. But the owner, the same guy that owns the WTA 500 tournament in Charleston now owns that tournament in Cincinnati. So yeah, he's trying to bring it to the South. It's been talked about, and I think they're doing some voting on it and stuff. So it's not without the.
It's becoming a 2-week Masters starting in 2026 or 25.
I thought it was 25, but you could be wrong.
I hope it's 26 because I don't
love that idea of a 12. I like the idea that the Masters get 2 weekends, but I don't necessarily think it should be almost 14 days. I love the fact that there's 2 weekends because that gets more people.
Yeah, make it Friday. How about Friday to Sunday? Yeah, that's fine.
Friday to the following, not the Sunday after that.
But then the problem is, what do you do in the back week? What do you do in the back week? Like, what do you do from Monday through Friday?
That's the problem.
You stretch qualies or
put a 250 somewhere?
Yeah, but how do you do a 250 and not have it in on the weekend?
Well, I will say this. Houston, that 250 that got rained out, they played basically the whole tournament in 3 days. So it's possible. It would be taxing, I guess.
The players aren't going to go for playing 2 matches in 1 day as a scheduled event. I don't think so.
I think they would prefer that than playing late at night. I think they would prefer a quicker turnaround than having to play all night because they have so many matches to compete, or to compete over a full day. So I don't know.
Yeah,
I think Azarenka alluded to that or something like that. Like I'd rather play twice in 1 day than have to wait around and prepare and eat and stuff like that. And then because 4 people were ahead of me, I don't start my match until 11:30.
Yeah, but that will never happen because of TV. Like they're going to have 4 to 5 matches in a day. Plus they want day session and night session tickets. Like that's so I don't think that will ever change.
Well, if Tennis TV bought the rights for WTA again, and if we had that one wonderful station to watch tennis, then maybe. But there's so many competing people in the pocket of broadcasting right now.
That's the challenge with the tennis, man, is that because it's individual tournaments, there's so many individuals. Like it's so hard to get all this lined up because it's so many people that have to get aligned to do anything. It's
so
really
many
tough.
Competing interests. Yeah, too many competing interests and time zones too. So yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah. Do you know about the grounds in Charlotte, like that they're moving it to potentially? Like, is it like just as nice, just as big? Because I've been to the Mason, Ohio. Like I'm going tomorrow. Actually, I'll be there.
Gotcha.
Like I love it. I mean, it's
the most
nice residential area. It's amazing.
The most I've seen, because I've been to Charlotte a couple of times, but the most I've seen as far as the tennis specific stuff is just the Tennis Channel segment they did a couple months ago, and it gets to like a pan of over what the stadium would potentially look like. And I think they had like a blueprint sketch of how they wanted to fix it or something like that, or improve it, but nothing really solid. It's just
so they're pretty far along now. They're going to make it look pretty.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I wouldn't mind going to a different city. It's fine. I mean, there's nothing special. Like when I go to Cincinnati, I just go for tennis. Like it's far.
That's the issue. That's how they're trying to get Charlotte in there, because Charlotte is developing into more of a bustling city as opposed to Cincinnati tournament, which technically isn't even.
And there's stuff around Charlotte. So like Charlotte's a few hours from the Outer Banks.
Yep.
It's you could go to Raleigh and there's stuff there. Like whereas Cincinnati, I mean, I guess you can go to like Columbus or Cleveland, but like nobody's going to Ohio for a vacation for anything.
Yeah, is Mason Is Mason a big college town or no? Or
Not really.
college?
It's the only thing in Mason is really Kings Island, that amusement park across the street. That's
But
it.
Yeah.
Charlotte has colleges. They have like just bustling downtown stuff. So it's more of a. It'll probably more of an attraction to people that don't even know about tennis. Like, oh, there's tennis tournament going on. Let's head over to downtown or wherever.
Well, I think that's the point. Whereas nobody's going to like. Nobody goes to vacation. I've never heard of anybody going to vacation in Cincinnati. Like,
yeah.
Well, you go out, you drive out of the parking lot at Mason, and then
It's what 20
there's
more
a
miles.
residential development, like literally
Yeah.
like 2 minutes away. They can walk there, like. So personally for me, I'm not a city guy, and I love the like free parking and like just leave the stadium, get a bite to eat for much cheaper, and then come right back. Like I love that aspect of it. That's why I go to this event every year. And I'm just a tennis junkie, so I don't like care about like city life or anything, but I get it for other people.
I will say the opposite part is like it will be sad because that tournament. So I went last year with Manny. Going to the Cincinnati tournament is awesome. It's like it's just a great because like it's a Masters
If you're a tennis
1000.
nerd, yeah.
You can bring in whatever you want to bring in. Like there's not. I mean, you can sit basically wherever you want. It's like very, like the parking's free. It's easy to get in, walk in from the parking. Like by contrast, the U.S. Open's a huge hassle.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't mind going, but it's a huge hassle.
I mean, Brad and I
energy,
snuck
though.
beers into the, Cincinnati, right? I mean, like,
Oh yeah, it was great.
Anywhere else.
That 2 p.m. beer is amazing, man. There's nothing better than the 2 p.m. beer on a hot day.
Amazing, where you don't have to pay $12 for it.
Yeah.
Or
But even their
25
beer
for one of
prices
those
weren't
things
that
with the
insane.
US
I remember we bought one there, Manny, and I think it was under
it's not that bad.
$10.
It's not that, but that's true. I hope the
It's
ushers are not listening to this before I head there next week.
I mean, it might be their last shot, so I doubt they'd be rude to you.
All right, let's preview Cincinnati. So just quickly, I guess before this match even starts, so do you have any other takeaways on the Tiafoe Griekspoor besides just it being a tricky match, or like who would you lean as a winner?
I mean, Tiafoe should win. He's the better. We talk about how Griekspoor's a nice player, and Griekspoor's a very nice player. Manny, I know you're a big Griekspoor guy, but Tiafoe didn't play. I mean, I guess that's the question. Is like you got to think Tiafoe's going to be motivated, right? He's going to have to be in a better mood than he was against Raonic, because he's got to get points. Like to your point, Myles, like. It's either defend him here or defend him at the U.S. Open. And, this is a much easier place to get a few points than the U.S. Open. That's going to be a grind. So,
it's going to be less pressure, yeah.
I'm staring at this plus 155, and I'm thinking about hitting it.
I think it's pretty well set, Manny. I think it's a 60-40 match. Tiafoe should win about 60% of the time, so there's probably a little value in hitting it, but it's probably not much. I mean, if you want to, I think it's pretty close to 0 EV at plus 155. Like, you should bet because you bet everything. So it falls within your betting.
Oh, I already have 2 bets on it. This would be another bet.
You bet a lot of things on everything. Adding more units for you is not an issue.
All right.
But Myles, would you agree? Like, it feels like Tiafoe's a slight advantage or something like a 60-40 is where
I agree. 60-40, but I mean, Tiafoe has also lost some 60-40 matches in his career that he should have won. So
he loses again. It's 60. Like I think 2 out of 5 times he loses this. Like it's not
he was 80-20 against Raonic and lost.
Yikes.
Yeah.
But
we'll see. I'm rooting for him though.
So no future prices on the board because the first round is underway, but let's just go over the quarters, I guess, like just from a tennis perspective. And if there's like a dark horse that you think has a chance, obviously, we'll talk about that. Let me pull it up. Give me 1 second, guys. I'm going to share the screen. All right. So the top quarter, you got Carlos Alcaraz, the number 1 seed. He'll play the winner of John Isner and Jordan Thompson. Then you got Ugo Humbert and Arthur Fils.
Ooh.
It's a nice match. Tasty. Miomir Kecmanovic and Tommy Paul. Francis Tiafoe and Griekspoor, they're playing shortly, as we talked about. Nakashima Wawrinka, Lloyd Harris Purcell, and then Casper Ruud is the 5th seed here. So just like
this draw lines up amazing for whoever wins that Tiafoe Griekspoor match, man. That's one takeaway I've got. And then in that top section, if Alcaraz is vulnerable, there's some fun names up there.
Well, he's gonna win. The winner of John Isner and Jordan Thompson.
Oh yeah, he'll win that.
Yeah, if they beat Carlos Alcaraz, then we should definitely be worried. But
Yeah.
Yes.
But I'm saying, like, all four of those guys in that section below that, Humbert, Fils, Kecmanovic, and Paul.
Kecmanovic isn't doing it. They played a good match in Miami, I believe, but Kecmanovic isn't the same player, unfortunately. So
that was the best match I've ever seen Kecmanovic play.
Right. And it just
it's just like Kecmanovic, like there's times when Kecmanovic still catches that magic. He's had a few good wins this year. Like, yeah he's not beating Alcaraz.
He got to the final of Delray Beach, yeah.
And he's gained some weight, Kecmanovic, too, which I don't think is good for his tennis game.
Yeah.
No.
But who knows? Tommy Paul might be gassed. That back issue might seize up on him. I mean, if Arthur Fils can win a couple matches, this could be definitely like he could become an ATP card carrying member, like officially, because he's almost there. Arthur Fils, if he gets top 50 after this, just by ranking wise, I think he's somewhere in the 60s or 70s, something like that. But he still has to qualify for these.
Current ranking is 46. He's in the top 50. So he's getting into basically any tournament he wants, except for maybe Masters. Some of these 1 week matches. Like maybe Paris, he may not be able to get into. We'll have to see.
I honestly think it's a very easy draw for Alcaraz. Just looking at it, I think it's pretty easy.
I think
just because you got those question marks with Paul, Fils and Humbert, they're not ready to beat him. Isner and Thompson, those are good first round matches. Tiafoe, they're question marks. I mean, that's a 50-50 match, as we said. Wawrinka, like, if he played him early, first or second round, that's a match to kind of like look at and like, oh, maybe, he can cause some trouble, but not if he plays him in the quarters, right? He's going to be gassed by then. Then Lloyd Harris Purcell is possibly the worst match of the first round. And then you got Casper Ruud, who's not good on fast courts. So I think it's setting up incredibly well. I'd be extremely surprised if Alcaraz doesn't make a semi.
So like I said, I think if Tiafoe is like full, if he's like in the right place emotionally, I think he's got a shot. He gave Alcaraz a really good match last year at the US Open. Obviously if Alcaraz is on, he wins this. If Alcaraz is on, he wins the tournament. But we're assuming that Alcaraz is a little bit off. Otherwise, it's not very fun to talk about.
Alcaraz at last year's US Open was not great Alcaraz. It was just mentally and physically superior Alcaraz.
Alcaraz last week was not great Alcaraz either.
And I think that's about the level. That's about the level he played at the Open, to be honest.
And I guess that's my point. But if Alcaraz is at Alcaraz's peak level, he's going to win the tournament. There's nothing to talk about. If he's at his peak level, who's going to beat him?
Even if he plays a little bit,
not before the semi,
not before the semi.
If he's a little bit off,
I think Wawrinka's a trouble match for Tiafoe, because that would be second round where Wawrinka will still be fresh.
If Tiafoe gets to where that Alcaraz match could possibly happen, then I feel like Tiafoe would be playing well, and obviously Alcaraz would be too. So that poses a threat. But if Alcaraz is playing Wimbledon Championship tennis, he should be in this final, I think, given everybody that's in front of him. That's what I had in my fantasy draw when I made it.
Any chance he doesn't make the quarters, though? That's
if he does, it wiggles everything as far as the U.S. Open for sure. Yes. He still comes in as like a top 3 favorite, but if he loses early and Djokovic wins the whole thing, then that shifts the narrative and shifts how people think who's going to be holding that U.S. Open trophy. So
Right. All right, next quarter, you got Tsitsipas. We'll play Ben Shelton. Ooh, that's tasty. Man, I like that. Hubie Hurkacz, Kokkinakis, Korda, Coric.
Coric is defending champion, and that's a make or break season for both of them. I think if Sebastian wins that, he should get some confidence of beating a defending champion. If Coric loses that, his ranking's going to take a significant hit. And if he wins it, he should feel pretty decent about beating Sebastian Korda, because he has been picking up consistent. I think he got to the semis of Los Cabos, born at Torres.
Talk about a first round match that might be played on court 6 with high stakes.
Yeah.
Coric will still get a seed for the U.S. Open, but this is a big match for him, because right now he's ranked 15th in the world. If he loses this match, he drops all the way to 30.
Yeah,
actually, he depending on what happens in this tournament, if he loses this match, he could be out of a seed for the U.S. Open. He probably won't be, but he could be, depending on how things break.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Because 1,000 points would put him at 1,300 points, which would put him right now in 31st.
And if Sebastian Korda wants to get his season on track, there's a little bit of room for that to happen too. Because
I mean, Coric was god awful against Vukic.
Yeah.
last week. God awful.
Yeah.
It was
he
terrible.
didn't even pin Tsitsipas in Los Cabos either. So yeah, he's just, we'll see.
Well, we talked about Coric. Coric is due for one good week all year. That's what it seems like.
But
It's like 2 weeks a year, yeah.
But what's the likelihood that it's going to like strike twice in Cincinnati? So we'll see.
It's as good like anywhere. Like it's one good week. It's it's like every week is the same, right? Like it's like
I'll be happy to be wrong.
Coric used his good week up in Madrid though this year.
He did.
Oh yeah, he did. You're right. Yeah, he's had a good week. Sorry,
he's had a good week, so this is not going to be it.
He's out of lives.
Kachanov and Murray. Safiullin against Nico Yari. Rusevori against Mute, who looked pretty good in qualifying, and then Rublev.
So I guess maybe like this is my point. Like, is this quarter any better than is this quarter like if Alcaraz was in this quarter would it provide any more threats to him?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah,
Rusevori maybe, but Rusevori has to play out of his shoes. So other than that, I mean, he can handle Andy Murray. Karen Khachanov hasn't played since the French Open. Right. Nicolas Jarry all of these players would have to play up and above the level they've shown for the past 2 to 3 months to beat Alcaraz.
Yeah, we saw how well he matches against Tsitsipas. I actually think Shelton, that's a danger match for Tsitsipas on the fast.
It is, yeah.
That's probably a match I bet the dog there.
Especially with the crowd is going to be backing Shelton.
Plus the lefty serve right to the backhand. Like this is a match made in heaven for Shelton if he wants to beat like a top 10 guy. And it's the perfect court as well.
Yep.
I think all the ingredients are in place for an upset there. I guess Hubie in a way. Like
I can't trust Hubie. I can't.
It's not
great.
What you can trust Hubie to do is play long matches. That's what you can trust Hubie to do. Hubie's going over 2 hours every time. Like you can trust Hubie to not like Hubie's not like if you get a ticket for a Hubie match, you're not going to be disappointed because the match ends too fast.
That's very true. That's very true. Yeah. I mean, honestly, it's a very good draw for Alcaraz. But I expect to see something from Rublev here. Like if
Andy Murray might pull out too, by the way, because Andy Murray. I didn't think about this, but Andy Murray said some things in his like on court withdrawal speech.
Speaking of which, that was a cool move by Murray to do the speech. You go on, but that was a really cool move by him to do the speech.
Yeah, because he doesn't know when. I mean, he'd have to go 2 more years to get back to Toronto. So, he might pull out because the way he said it took about. He's had the issue before. It took roughly about 10 to 12 days for him to feel normal, and that's obviously not 10 to 12 days between end of Toronto and Cincinnati. So he might take the L on Cincinnati to get his shot at the U.S. Open. But if he does well at Cincinnati, that kind of almost puts him in contention for a seat at the U.S. Open,
right?
Which he desperately wants. So I don't know what he's going to do.
And I don't know, Kachanov, we haven't seen him, so
right, yeah, exactly. So he might go out there and be like, hey, I'm playing somebody that is undercooked on matches, so let's see what happens. But at what risk for his body? Because his body's tender.
Yeah.
I saw Rublev. I saw an outright before Manny that Rublev was at 28-1.
Yeah.
That seems pretty tasty.
To get to what?
28
to win the tournament. 28-1 to win the tournament.
He got to the final in last year, I think. He lost to Zverev, I think. Yeah.
That was 2 years ago.
Oh, okay, got it.
That was in 21. That was after the Olympics when Zverev was kind of riding high. And then didn't Rublev make the final last year too? Or what was?
I could have.
No, it was Coric.
No, Rublev lost to Fritz.
It was Coric Tsitsipas, so it was 2 years ago.
Oh yeah.
Rublev lost to Fritz last year, man. Remember we watched that.
Right.
That was a good match
together.
But these are courts that Rublev likes, and I also think he's going to be really motivated here because he probably wasn't very pleased with that loss to Mackey. Mm-hmm. And I do think he has a draw where he can do some damage. Like, I would actually be surprised if he doesn't win this quarter, to be honest. Like, did you see any quarter prices here? Brad?
I didn't. I just saw outrights. I didn't see anything quarters.
If I get 3-1 or better, I'm gonna bet Rublev to win.
Oh, you will. You'll get like 5-1 or 6-1. I think it's a good bet.
I'm
Like,
gonna hammer.
I'm waiting for quarter prices to come up. Hopefully tonight after the first round matches close, because I think that's going to be good value.
Yeah, I agree. All right, let's move on to the bottom half. So we got Holger Rune, who did not look good against Marcos Giron in Toronto. We didn't even talk about.
Oh, come on, Marcos Giron is tough, man. Like you can't deny Marcos Giron. Like,
who lost to Diego
I'm being sarcastic.
Got destroyed by Diego Schwartzman in qualies.
I'm being sarcastic. Manny knows my thoughts on Marcos Giron.
Mackey will play Yannick Hoffman. Gasquet, Mannarino 1, 4, and 3. Berrettini and Felix Auger-Aliassime.
Man. Either one of them, Adrian Mannarino is going to be a tough one for them, but I could think of maybe some rougher second round matches, but both of them could use a win. So
yeah,
we'll see what happens. Berrettini and Felix could definitely use a win.
Yeah. FAA could use a win against anyone. He's
literally anyone.
He can't beat Max Purcell. He can't generate a break point against Max Purcell. That's where we're at right now. Like, it's crazy.
I don't think he's gotten to a tiebreak against Max Purcell. That's not.
I'm so curious what those odds are going to be. Berrettini, FAA. Like, are we going to get plus money on Berrettini?
No, I saw the odds already. You will not. The books are not that bad.
Like, even if I get minus 150 on Berrettini, I'm gonna probably hammer
It's worse than that. It's like minus 180. Yeah, It's pretty well set. The books have figured out the FA is not good.
Okay. Zverev and Dimitrov.
Upset alert, I think.
That's tomorrow night. Actually, the schedule just came out for tomorrow night. They'll play Yoshi, Evans and Musetti, and then Medvedev rounds out this quarter.
If Medvedev isn't playing well, I think either Dimitrov or Zverev could give him some trouble. Dan Evans and Musetti maybe not so much. But again, if Medvedev puts in a clunker like he did in Toronto, then it could get clunky.
Yeah, Medvedev has also said that he loves these courts, right? He prefers a faster court, right? So this seems like a really good draw for Medvedev. And then now, Zverev has played him tough this year in 2 matches in Monte Carlo and Indian Wells. But I feel like Medvedev right now just has a psychological edge on him.
I would agree with that.
Just mentally, and I know we're getting a better Zverev now, but still,
are we?
That's a good point. Are we? I guess that those diabetes issues kind of creep up more now. I don't know.
Not sure.
2-1 against Fokina.
I don't think he used his window to the best of his ability. I'll say that much. I wouldn't if he retires without a Grand Slam, I wouldn't be too surprised at this point.
Does he win another Masters 1000?
I think so.
Zverev, yeah. He's good enough to win a Masters.
Just something about trusting him to win 7 matches in a row when it really matters after all this time of him being the next guy. It's a lot to overcome.
Also, we saw what happened when he had his chance against Teen.
Yep.
That 5th set was ugly.
And in tennis, you don't always get a second chance. Yep. It's just a brutal sport. Evans
could be a really tricky match for Medvedev.
It could be. Yeah, I agree with that.
If Evans is playing well, that could be really tricky for Medvedev.
But does Evans go into this court? Because Evans wasn't good against who did he play in?
Gabriel.
Man, we called that Diallo. We called that though. We know what Evans was doing after everyone watched it. It was not good for Toronto. Especially if you saw that the trophy speech where he talked for 10 minutes. He thanked the mayor.
Evans. I think Evans won over $350K. He's still enjoying that check. Yeah.
He's still enjoying that.
He's still enjoying that.
The question is, he's still enjoying it. Is it time to get back to work? But my point is Toronto was a mail-in. He mailed in Toronto. He might not mail this in. He mailed in Toronto.
Is Evans
Musetti might bring it out of him. We'll see.
Is Evans gonna catch the Corich disease and be good for one week all year?
That's what it seems like to me.
I feel like that's very possible.
It could be.
Because the rest of the year he's been god awful, and then he just came into Washington and won. It feels very similar to Coric of 2022.
Has Evans ever made a quarterfinal or a fourth round of a major?
Major?
Yeah, he's made a 4. He has to have.
He's made fourth round. Remember, I know third round at least. He played Wawrinka. He gave Wawrinka his toughest match in the Grand Slam that he won at the U.S. Open in 2016. That was a third round match. I think he had match points on Wawrinka in that match. That's the deepest run. I know he made semis in Montreal last year.
I know that, but at a major, I can't remember seeing him in the
Yeah, fourth round U.S. Open in 21. He lost to Medvedev.
Gotcha.
3-4-3. So that kind of takes away my. But yeah, that's it. Just that one fourth rounder.
I mean, yeah, Evans is honestly, Evans and Musetti are actually quite similar matchups on this court. And we saw what
different style players though.
But on this kind of court, probably Evans does it slightly better, but like Musetti is going to use that backhand slice. Evans is going to too, kind of wait for a forehand. I think the only difference with Evans, which makes the matchup slightly harder for Medvedev, is that he likes to he's better at coming forward. Right?
Yeah, that's why I think it's a tricky matchup. Like I think, and Evans is really good tactically. Medvedev usually has a huge tactical advantage. He doesn't necessarily against Evans, so I think that's a tricky man for him.
Okay.
That's really my only thought. Other than that, like really, like if Dimitrov shows up, he could be tricky, but Dimitrov has to show up for 4 days in a row. That's always
Dimitrov doesn't match up well against Zverev. We saw that at the French Open.
Yeah, and nobody in that top part is particularly scary. I don't think Rune hasn't played in a while. Oh no, Rune lost to Giron, so that's why
I actually think Mannarino is scary on these courts. Like I would actually.
But Mannarino looks so bad in the last 2 tournaments in Washington and Toronto.
But this is a low bouncing, fast hard court. And
Washington's not.
What?
Washington's pretty
slower. This is faster.
He's going to play a little slower, though, this week, so it won't be as hot. It's only supposed to be in, like, the low 80s. Temperature's supposed to be a little cooler.
That's also going to help Mannarino from a fitness perspective.
Yeah, I'm just not as high Mannarino here, man. I don't know. But it's a fair point.
What are your thoughts?
Actually, we don't know how the ball's going to bounce that much here because it's a different surface. You got to remember, this is a different surface than it was last year.
What are your thoughts on Mannarino, Myles? Hard to call week to week. I think grass is usually where he makes the bulk of his money in the season, but he's good for pushing somebody and making them really work for it because he doesn't really give you anything. He kind of bunts the ball back on both sides, which can be frustrating if you come on that court and you're not prepared to kind of just deal with Mannarino being frustrating, then he can scramble your brain a little bit. So we'll see. Yeah. And I feel like somebody like players like Berrettini or Felix come onto the court questioning like their confidence and stuff like that. So Mannarino's licking his chops and he's like, yeah, let me make a little run here. So
I think Berrettini or Felix will get Mannarino'd in that match.
Yeah, definitely could be possible. Yeah.
Yeah.
Leave the court like, how did I lose that?
Yep, exactly. All right, let's go to the last quarter here. I think this is the most stacked quarter. This is an insane quarter. You got Sinner, the number 8 seed. He'll play Cerundolo or Lajovic. Sonego and Shevchenko will play the winner of Lechka and Fritz. Cam Norrie and Monfils, they'll play the winner of Demonor and JJ Wolf. And then Fokina and Echeverry plays Djokovic. This is a stacked quarter.
You know, Manny, I'm actually going to kind of disagree with you on that. Like,
really?
This is good players, but it's a lot of guys who have got a lot of questions about this week. So, like, yep. Sinner just won Toronto. Is he really going to want to win, like, go all out here in Cincinnati right before the U.S. Open? Lajovic is more of a clay guy. Cerundolo, when's the last time Cerundolo played? Did he play since European clay?
He played last week, lost to Tommy Paul in that.
Right. Okay, you got me there. I mean, Fritz is always fun. Sonego, Shevchenko, fine. Monfils played a lot of tennis last week for Monfils. Norrie hasn't been great. Demonor just made a final. He'll be gassed. I think Wolf actually beats him. Like, I don't know. I don't think
last week.
What?
A lot of guys that did well last week.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of guys. Like, I get why you're saying it's a stacked quarter. It's a lot of good players, but I think it's not as strong for this event. Like, it's a lot of guys that like.
None of them, I can't see any of them lifting the trophy. That's how I look at it. I'd be surprised if anywhere between, except Sinner, because he might just be playing that well. But from Cerundolo all the way down to Echeverry, I can't see any of them lifting the title.
Yeah. The only one was like any shot besides any shot in there is Fritz. And we just talked about Fritz. I'm not saying he has much of a chance, but like maybe. Like if you had to pick a guy there, maybe. But I wouldn't back anybody there either. I agree.
Yeah. And Lehechka's a tough one. If that court is playing good and Lehechka's serving big, Lehechka can take him out.
Fokina is also that's a tough match for Djokovic to get right back into the swing of things.
I don't think so.
You don't think so? Really?
No. I mean, yes, in some ways, because I think Fokina beat Djokovic at Monte Carlo,
and that was after a long.
That was a long.
Playoff,
that was
right?
that. Yeah. So in that frame of mind, yes, it is tricky. But any other day of the week, Djokovic.
And Fokina gave him a heck of a match at the French for 2 sets.
Yeah, that's true. But again, Fokina doesn't. He's won one, lost one. So
but here's the problem. If it gets to a tough point in the match, what is Foki going to do?
We know Djokovic is going to go on lockdown mode. He hasn't played his break from Wimbledon to now has not been long enough for him to forget how to go to lockdown mode. So
yeah.
He has to Fokina to win that match. He has to win like 6-2, 6-3. Otherwise, it's not going to happen for him.
Djokovic
he has to play the tough
poorly.
Well, which he hasn't done in forever. But that would be the other path.
Honestly, Brad, like the way to play that, like if that match goes to a tiebreak, just bet Djokovic to win the tiebreak. You probably get like minus 150, but it's like still plus EV in my opinion.
Yeah,
but I don't know. All right, Myles. Well, it was a pleasure. Thanks again for joining us. We'll do this again. This was fantastic.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Myles. Really appreciate your viewpoints, man. Great stuff.
Thanks, I appreciate that. Thank you guys for inviting me on, and hopefully in time, by listening to the podcast, interacting with you guys on Twitter Spaces, I can actually make a bet one day and have a game bet and match. We'll see.
Well, tennis is great, so I enjoyed it as a fan for the first 25 years of my life, and now I just kind of got into betting, but it's great either way. So awesome
any
stuff.
Last thoughts, man? Any products you need to pitch? Anything you need to say before you leave?
No, if you guys are listening to this, make sure you hop over to Tuned Into Tennis on Apple Podcasts, Spotify Podcasts, wherever you listen to podcasts. Look us up by the same name on socials. Give me a holler. Let me know what you're thinking. If you are better as well, I don't mind giving you like some pointers or insights on who's playing well, who's not.
Nice.
Just, interact with me. I don't mind at all.
Sweet. Well, have a great night. Thanks again.
Take care, guys.
See ya.
Right.
All right. Welcome back to the show. Thanks again to Myles for a fantastic first segment.
That also concludes the tennis analysis part. Now we can get into the real purpose of the show, which is betting. We can, no. But in all seriousness, we do thank Myles for his contribution. So we loved having you on, Myles. Again, go to his space, Tune Into Tennis. Really, really good space. I've actually listened on it a few times. Really, good stuff. He's also a little more broad than that. I think he does women's and men's. So
yeah, no, great tennis mind. I mean, factually also incredible. Like,
and had a lot of really good insights on the interviews and what's going on and kind of the inside pieces. I wasn't aware that the Charlotte Masters the new Charlotte Masters probably coming. So a lot of really cool stuff from Myles on that take. It's awesome. It's so awesome, like communicating with all these different people, because like different people have like such different, interesting takes on the game.
They do. And you can tell who knows the game and who doesn't. And Myles is clearly one that knows the game very well. So, and like, his expertise, even though he's not a bettor, like that kind of analysis helps us in our betting, Oh
yeah, for sure. So
it's,
and we've talked about before, like I really like the analysis part better. The betting just gives such a good backdrop to it.
Right. Yep. All right, so let's get right into the match lines, to the round one matches. We apologize for not doing pods midweek, but that's just because like after work matches are still going on, so it's just really hard to kind of pod in addition. So
the problem is that like I think, and this is probably gonna be a kind of modus operandi for us going forward. Like during the American swings, it's really difficult for us to pod because there's not a lot of lines up during the American nights, right? Like the lines come up like late in the American nights, and then we have full-time jobs. We don't really have time to come up and do a full pod, especially with us being a long-form pod. We don't really have the time to do a long-form pod before the next day. And like for these 1 week Masters, it's impossible because they play every day. So like there's never lines up when we're actually like trying to do a pod. So like the spaces works much better, and we can be more kind of loose analysts. Whereas like here we're much more tied to the lines.
Right. Yep, for sure. So let's go into the first match. First match is great. Let me share this.
Is it really great? This first match is not great.
It's not great. Yeah, it's not great, but it's a fun match.
Stop trying to oversell the tournament, Manny. Stop trying to oversell our pod. Our pod sucks.
Well, this match, I mean, if FAA was playing better, I guess it would be a great match.
Well, FAA wouldn't be a 2.5 game dog if he was playing.
I know. I was
FAA the 2 game dogs to Berrettini. Both are minus 115 on Bovada. FAA is a plus 175 on the money line. Berrettini's minus 215. And the over-under is 23. You usually see a little bit higher totals on Berrettini matches. It's a little more serve dependent. Your thoughts, Manny?
I'm trying to think of something to play here. I actually think it's pretty well set. I was hoping to get a good line in Berrettini over 12.5, but that's minus 185. That's terrible. I actually don't mind Berrettini straight sets. I mean, if Purcell was winning 3 and 4 against FAA, and FAA couldn't generate a break point, what leads me to believe that Berrettini or FAA will have break point opportunities against Berrettini? Do you agree with that take?
So my lean here is actually different. I'm kind of like I'm not going to bet this. I just don't really like. I don't have really any trust in either of these guys, and I think the line is pretty decently set. But I do think the 10.5, the over 10.5 for the first set at plus 140 is kind of interesting. Because like FAA is still holding serve decently well. He can't really do anything else, but he still is like kind of holding serve decently well.
But if you
Berrettini's not the best at returning.
Purcell was in a lot of his FAA service games. It's not like he was holding easily. And I still consider Berrettini like a better returner than Purcell. Purcell's not a good returner.
No. But like Watnuki was 2 tie breaks, right? Like, and I agree Berrettini's better than Watnuki, but you're also getting plus 140. It's not a bet for me, but I think like
that's the line.
I think that's an interesting play, and I think the other interesting play is the as you mentioned it, the 2-0 Berrettini I think is interesting. I'm not playing it. I think this line is pretty well set, but I just don't trust Berrettini that much either. But yeah, those are my thoughts there. That's really all I have to say. Isn't that interesting? I mean, it's interesting match from like a tennis perspective, but FA's just been so bad. I can't treat him like cold FAA.
I mean, that's where I'm going here. I just think like even if FAA has love 40, I actually think his chances to break are less than 50%. That's how bad FAA is returning at the moment.
That's too strong of a statement, but yeah, I just think it's like objectively too strong. Like you're telling me that FAA can't win a return point. So just straight math, right? Like if you have an 80% chance of winning a service point, that means your chances of winning 3 service points.
He had love 40 twice, I believe, against Watnuki and couldn't break.
Yeah, but that's 2 instances, right? You can't draw anything from you can't draw much from 2
instances. I guess so, but like Berrettini can serve his way out of trouble, and he has a big forehand. Like, I don't know.
I'm just saying it's not 50-50, man. Even if Berrettini gets love 40, he's got a chance to hold, but I don't think it's 50-50. It's probably more like, I don't know, maybe like 40-60, which is still higher than it usually is for most guys. I mean, but that's fine.
To me, it's like I can't not fade FAA in a match. Like, regardless of how I want, like how big of a dog he is, like I just feel like you have to fade him. That's how like poor I think he's playing right now. Like, I would fade him against pretty much anyone in this draw, to be honest. Is there anyone in this? Maybe. I mean, is there anyone that in this draw where that would play FAA where you would be like, I think he's going to win this and say that confidently?
No, but I mean, in order to play Berrettini, unless you're going to play it straight sets, you're giving up significant minus money.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to play the straight sets. I like that. Plus 125. That's where I'm going.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I get it. Like, I'm not against the play, I guess. Like, I think that's one interesting play, and I think the other interesting play is the
over 10.5.
The over 10.5. Yeah. I spaced out, but the over 10.5 in the first set. I think those are the two interesting plays in my mind.
Okay.
But I'm not playing this either way.
Not playing it.
Yeah.
Okay. Fair. Safiullin against Nico Yari. So Safiullin is a 1.5 game dog here, plus 125 on the money line. Yari's minus 150. The over-under is 23. I don't mind the over here. 23. I actually thought might be 23.5 or 24. I actually don't mind Yari money line either at minus 150. I think that's like, has Safiullin played since Wimbledon?
No.
So that's probably a reason why you're staying away, right? Knowing you.
Yeah, so that's the first reason. And then, like, I don't know, man. Like, we've talked about this a lot with Yari, but like, fast hard courts, like the serve will play up, but the rest of Yari's game, I don't really like. Like,
but didn't he impress you on the grass swing?
But that's not fast hard, right? Like, grass and hard are different.
Right, but wouldn't hard actually suit his game more than grass because it's a true bounce?
But it's still going to be a quick bounce, right? And like, he's not going to get as
but grass is just grass is a quicker bounce than hard.
So, but then his serve won't play up as much.
I think this court, I guess, but like I think this court is actually better for him than a grass court because it's a true bounce. It's slightly higher bouncing.
Maybe for the rest of his game, but it's not as good for the serve. I don't know. And Safiullin has Safiullin beaten him before? I think Safiullin might have gotten him in Madrid this year. And I think I heard that on the Bet Rivers pod. So I'm not the one who figured that out on my own. But
yeah, Madrid this year. 6-2, 3-6, 6-3.
And I actually think Safiullin's game matches up decently with Yari. I mean, like, I think the over is like, the only reason I'm not playing this as an over is because I just don't know what Safiullin was doing since Wimbledon. But and I agree. I actually think this is getting close to playable territory for Yari. I'm not playing it, but it's getting close. Like, if this drops to like -1, or if this, if this money line gets down to like -130, I think it becomes playable.
Okay.
But like -150, I think this is like, I think this is like, I can see hitting Yari here though at -150 if you like him. Like, we've had this. I don't hate the Yari play. I'm just not gonna tell you on it.
I gotta think about this. I think I'm gonna lean the over 23. I think that's my favorite play here. Because like
I don't hate it.
I believe Yari has gone over 2.5s in all of his hard court matches this year. or like since Wimbledon. Except against Pacheco Mendez, which I'm throwing away. But against Brower, he won 3. Against Tsitsipas, he won 3. Against Ugo Humbert, he won 3.
Yeah, I mean, I don't hate it if you want to play the over there. I think that makes
that's what I'm
sense. It's only 23. I hate it. I mean, at 23 and 23 and a half are very different. So
yeah. All right, that's how I'm gonna play that. Next match, Nakashima and Wawrinka. Wow. Nakashima minus 130, Wawrinka plus 110. Over under 24. Nakashima is a 1-game favorite here. I think this screams Wawrinka money line.
I don't know, man. Like Wawrinka on fast hard, he takes a long time to wind up. He doesn't move that well anymore.
He did decently at Wimbledon. Nakashima can't break serve, so you're gonna tell. I think this match has like 2 tiebreaks written all over it, which is why I would like the over, but not at 24. Like if it was 23, I would hammer that, but not at 24. But I'm getting plus money on the more experienced, slightly more confident player at the moment. At plus money, I'm going to take that. Also, once they get into a rally, Wawrinka hits the ball so much better than Nakashima. I understand it's a fast court, but like Nakashima's done nothing all year. Like, what warrants him being a favorite here?
Well, he's an American. Wawrinka hasn't played on hard in 6 months. Back in the fast hard part of the season, he lost the first round of Australian to Mulchan. I mean, his results are okay. We're okay on the fast hard part of the season. Okay results in Rotterdam. Nothing to kind of like write home about either way. Lost to Mulchan in Australian Open. I mean, Davis Cup was Davis Cup. It's a little bit different, but he didn't look good against Zverev there. I mean, United Cup is hard to even judge too much on. Like, I mean, I don't know. Like,
I mean, it's the surface transition piece of it, which is probably like the one part of it where I'm not sure what I'm going to get out of Wawrinka. But like, look at these losses from like even the wins, like Nakashima against Vukic, it was 6-6. Purcell, there was a tiebreak there. Lost to Eubanks, lost to Murray 6-4. Lechka, but only got, I think, 1 break in that match. Like he, as you said, he's not a good athlete. You know, like he can't break serve.
I don't disagree with that, but like the service transition makes me shy away from Stan, and like I can make an argument for Nakashima, based on the surface, and that's enough for me to call this a decently enough well set line to stay away.
Okay.
I like the. I mean, if gun to my head, I like the Wawrinka plus 110 a lot better than the Nakashima minus 130. But I'm just going to stay away here.
So we've had this discussion at the beginning of the clay court swing, like where we were weighing surface too much, and we were like, what we didn't weigh when betting these matches is just betting who the better tennis player is.
Yeah, you might be right here.
You know, and like Wawrinka is the better tennis player here. I don't think there's any debate about that.
Yeah, you might be right here.
Oh,
Again, I mean, I don't like. I mean, it's another bet that I don't hate. I'm not telling you on it, but I don't hate it.
Okay. I was hoping that would be a play of the day. That's where I was going there. Because I'm pretty confident in that one. But no. Okay, that's fine. Meanwhile, Tiafoe's break point in the second set. He won the first set 6-4. Griekspoor broke to start the second, and then now Tiafoe's break point. Ooh, Griekspoor saves it with an ace. All right, the next match, which probably is the the highest stakes match of the first round, Korda and Coric. Korda's a 3-game favorite, minus 180 on the money line, over 22.5 here. Coric is plus 150 on the money line. This is a really tough match for me to get a read on. Well, what's your take here? Because like these are two guys I want to fade, but they're playing each other, unfortunately.
Yeah. I mean, my thought was I actually might play Coric here just because he's plus 150. Like, because like I can't do you? I don't believe in Coric. I don't believe in either of these guys, but like I don't know. Coric has like he's got a hell of a lot of points to defend. This is much high. I get why this is high stakes for Korda, but it's much higher stakes for Coric. This is 15 ranking spots on the line for Coric right here.
Okay.
And potentially a seat at the U.S. Open. So, he'll probably still get a seat regardless. He'll probably get something like the 30, like the 28 to 32 range. But like, he could end up dropping out of his seed. Like, so given that, and regardless, he's got 1,000 points to defend. He's got 15 ranking spots to defend. Like, there's a big difference between 15 and 30. Obviously. So. All that, like, just because it's plus money tells me to play Coric. I have a hard time making an argument for Korda right now as a minus 180 favorite.
I see what you're saying, but I can't back Coric off of that horrendous Vukic loss last week.
So Korda's Vukic loss was better than Coric's Vukic loss.
Yes.
It actually was. You're right. But like they are still both really bad.
But Coric lost in 2 and 3. Like Vukic
terrible.
is not a good
It
returner.
was terrible.
Like, and Coric usually when he plays his best tennis, he's a good matchup for Tsitsipas, and even that match he lost 3 and 2.
Yeah,
Everyone beats Ilya Ivashka now.
Well, I would never do this at plus 110. It's just like I don't know. Like there's like
see, for me, this is actually a stay away.
It should be a stay away. Like, the only reason I'm even thinking about it is because it's plus money.
Actually, the one bet I kind of like here is Korda over 12.5 at minus 120.
I don't like that at all.
No? Like,
No.
how does Coric win this easily?
How does Korda? Korda could win this. Korda could win this easily. Like, Coric is playing terrible right now. If Korda shows up and plays the way he's played in some of these matches, yeah, Korda could. If Korda plays decently, this is such an ugly match. Like, you could play Korda 2-0 at plus 135. I don't know.
I don't have enough confidence. I don't have enough confidence in Korda that
I'm probably going to stay away. I have no confidence in either of these guys right now.
I don't even over or under, maybe under 22.5.
No, because like they could both play badly at the same time. I think they're both going to compete. They just both could play horrendous tennis.
That's tough, man. I think I'm going to stay away. I don't see a good line there. All right, next match.
Yeah, I hear you.
Zverev and Dimitrov. Zverev is a 2-game favorite, minus 150, over under 22.5. Dimitrov is plus 125 on the money line. Now, these guys played at the French Open. I know totally different conditions. Zverev, I think this is this his first? No, he played in Toronto. Beat Griekspoor 4-6, lost to Fokina 1-2. Which makes it really tough to bet Fokina or to bet Zverev. Did you see some of that match? Was it a diabetes problem or he just came out flat? Like what was the?
I didn't really see much. I don't really know.
What's their head-to-head, these guys?
I'm looking that up right now. It's 4-1 Zverev. Zverev owns him pretty. Two of them, the two most recent matches are 21 Paris, which was close, and then you mentioned the French where you beat him down.
Mm-hmm. 'Cause, 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 'cause This is a really tough match to bet, especially granted it's the first round. Dimitrov, I think, likes these conditions, right? But they're both former champions here, so they both like it. Dimitrov won in 17 and Zverev won 2 years ago. I really want to play this match. Granted, I'm probably going to be sitting in the stadium for it. Do you have a play here?
I was gonna play the under 22.5 at minus 105.
Yeah.
Like the 22.5 is like the neutral over under.
Yeah.
I don't really see why this should be over a neutral, just because of like how likely either of these guys is to throw in a dud. Like it might be friendly to say there's a 20% chance that one of you guys just throws in a dud here. Like if you remember on one of the spaces, I said that Dimitrov throws a dud in 1 out of every 10.
Yeah, and then
and you two was like, you must be a fan. Like I think you could say the same exact thing about Zverev.
Yeah. That was one of the funniest comments from Tidbits. I love that. That was amazing.
Yeah. So like, I don't know, man. Like, and even if neither guy does throw in a dud, like 22.5 is high enough. You could get like a 7-6, 6-3, or a 4-4, or a 5-4.
Yeah. I kind of like it too. You're talking.
So I like, but the only problem is like this is at night, so I don't think like heat's going to be an issue. I think both guys will be more fired up.
But both guys are really they're fit. I mean, the Zverev match against Taro Daniel was also at night, so I don't think that it was. It was a night match in Miami. I remember like excited to watch, night tennis like after work, and then I just got treated with that.
And I don't think Dimitrov really cares if it's day or night. He's throwing a dud either way.
He could. You know what? I'm going to play that under 22.5. Quick night at the tennis tomorrow.
Yeah. This is the only night match?
No, there's one on Grandstand, Evans and Musetti, I believe.
Oh, right.
Which is actually a good match. Like I'm looking forward to that one. It's not the best schedule tomorrow, to be honest. Like I feel like the better matches are going to be on Tuesday.
It is. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. It's actually a pretty bad schedule tomorrow. All right, next match. Evans and Musetti. There we go. Tomorrow night. Evans +2 game underdog, +120 on the money line. Musetti's -145, over under 22.5. I mean, as we said with Myles, like, is Evans still partying from from the Washington win? What's your lean here? This is tough for me.
So I was gonna this line is shortened up. Evans was a bigger dog. When I first saw it, Evans was at plus like 130. I think I saw plus 140, then plus 135. Now he's down to plus 120. So the money's been coming in on Evans.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, man. Like, I don't know that I necessarily agree with Evans being like this 1 week a year kind of player. Like he was pretty good. Like 22, he had, multiple decent weeks.
Mm-hmm. Well, 22, I think, was the best year of his career.
Right, but like, why can't this? Like, why does he have to regress and now suck? Like, he could have just had a bad 6 months, right? Maybe something was going on in his life. Like, I don't know, and I don't know if anybody does know, but like, right, like he doesn't have to all of a sudden be like bad at tennis and never able to regain his form.
True.
Like,
this is going to be a fun matchup to watch because I feel like it's very tactical. right?
Well, and if that's the case, I think Evans is a much better tactical player than Musetti. Like, yeah, they'll both slice the backhand a lot. I get that, but like, Evans is so much better at moving forward.
And on a fast court like this, that probably plays up for him, right?
Like, I think that being a fast court is still better for him than Musetti with the one-handed backhand.
But from the back of the court, I still think Musetti is better.
Yeah, but I mean, a lot of guys are better in the back of the court than at the back of the court than Evans, and Evans finds a way to win.
True. What's the head-to-head here? Do they have they played?
Good question. I'd look this up. I want to say it's like 1-1 or something, but I'll look it up for you.
And Musetti 2-0. But it was both on clay, which is better for Musetti. So these are totally different conditions. So you kind of have to.
Oh, and Evans, and I actually the Bet Rivers guys mentioned this. So Evans, that Evans had 4 match points in Cagliari, and he I think he was up a break in the second set against in the Barcelona match. Like, I don't remember them that intensely, but the point is, like, those were close matches. I'm not taking much from that. Like, this was close, and that was on clay. Granted, Musetti's a much better player now than he was also even a year or two ago. So
how about over 22.5?
First round overs are just scary because, like,
True. You're right. Klaus actually brought that up.
yeah, I mean, you just don't know. Like, I mean, like, to Miles's point, like, is Evans still partying from Toronto, and then you're just done, right? Like I don't know. Like, in order for it to be an over, you need both guys to show up.
Yeah. 3-set line maybe is better than plus 135.
I mean, I like that over instead of over 22.5, but like, I'm just gonna ride Evans money line, man. I think it's time for Evans to get back to work. Like, he had a nice week off. Like,
You think, but you're not a partier. We're doing a tennis podcast on Saturday night instead of partying and drinking.
man, it's Sunday night.
Oh, Sunday
It's
night.
Sunday night, man.
My bad. Yeah, that's true. Well, it's a work night, but partiers don't care about work,
True. That's
right?
true.
They party on
That's
Sunday
true.
night too.
That's
So,
true.
all right. Oof, Greeksburg could go up a double break here. Seal the set. Seal the over.
Hi-yo!
Oh, he's been good to me this year. Our first book error cash, right? The 24-1.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
amazing.
We haven't had a nice book error cash in a while. Bofana's really cleaned that up.
I know. They need to change that. Like, hire some worse people.
Yeah.
Fokina against Echeverry here. Fokina is -4, -310 on the money line, over under 22. Etch is plus 250 on the money line. This is tough because I think like these are bad courts for Etch, first of all. And he's shown that he just can't play on quick courts. Like that's kind of what
He's not fat. He's not a good enough athlete, man.
Yeah,
You keep wanting you love him and you want to call him a good athlete, but he's not. He doesn't move well enough.
He's decent, but he's just like he doesn't have fast twitch muscles. He can't take the ball.
No, he's not quick. Like he can move okay in one direction. He's like an old school, like one of those old school joysticks. Like, he can move well in one direction, but like the joystick's kind of clunky, and like when you have to like move it and like like it's not like the nice PlayStation controllers now. It's like it's got like the little like
the
Nintendo
Nintendo 64
right,
joystick, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
A Sega Dreamcast.
Yeah, exactly. He's still playing Donkey Kong.
Yeah. Who did we compare to Donkey Kong the other day?
Oh, that was the different levels of Monfils beating Sinner.
Oh yeah,
your bosses.
Donkey Kong dropped a banana peel in the third set there, but he passed the second boss by winning the set. So
it was Goombas. That was the good issue. There was Goombas in the third set. It's too many Goombas out there.
Yeah, now you can see why we're not partiers.
For real. That was like the lamest segment ever. I mean, I know people will watch this, but like, I've lost some major social points for life, man. Not good.
All right, so back to this match. Do you have a play here?
No, because like,
we don't know how Fokina is going to respond after that.
well, it's just a lot of tennis, right? And it's he'll have 2 days off, but it's just a long. You know, he played a bunch. I mean, because he played a first rounder in that. He didn't get a top 8 seed. He's not anywhere near that level. So like, I want him to be, but he's not. So he played what? 5 matches last week. That's a lot of tennis. And 4 games. We talked about 4 games is a big spread in men's tennis. In order for me to pick Fokina here in a first round match, I'd have to feel like I could make an argument that this should be 5 or more as a spread. I have a really hard time doing that. But I also have a hard time making an argument it shouldn't be where it is because Etch is just not good on these fast courts. Didn't he lose to quarter like 3-2?
3-2. It was windy. So maybe that played into it. The thing which makes me want to play actually the Fokina 2-0 here is the fact that he was beating up on people that were kind of overmatched against him last week. Like against Ruud and Minaur was, a different story, but like the other matches, he just completely whooped the opponent. I mean, Zverev and then JJ Wolf as well, right? Didn't he have another pretty easy win? Oh, Mackey.
Yeah.
Like, what do you view Mackey better on these courts than Etch? Probably,
yes.
I guess so.
Significantly, yeah, significantly.
So the fact that he beat Mackey that easily, doesn't that kind of make you want to play Fokina 2-0? I know it's hard to weigh these, just different matchups, but like if we're considering Mackey's way better on fast hard than Etch is, and he beat him up pretty easily, I think that that's the right line. The only hesitancy is how is Fokina going to feel after all that tennis and the travel and all that. But I think he's gonna want to play Novak. I think that's probably another motivation for him here, is that he wants to play him. I feel like Fokina thinks that this is a good opportunity to get one on Novak, actually. I'm not saying he will. I'm just saying that's in Fokina's mind.
Interesting take.
So I'm going to play the -1.5 sets here for Foki.
I get it. I don't think I'm going to tail it, but I get it. When's the last time Etch played? He played against
Toronto, yeah.
He played Washington, got killed by quarter.
Ew, Tiafoe got the break back. Ew.
Yeah, you have over 22.5, right?
Yeah, but I have over 23.5 in the parlay.
Oh.
So I need 3 sets.
Yeah.
So. All right, next match we got is de Minaur against JJ Wolf. de Minaur is -2.
This is a play. I'm going to tail Sean Calvert of Bet Rivers. He convinced me to do this and take Wolf here.
Really?
He brought up a really good point.
Okay.
Wolf is in Cincinnati. He's actually born and raised, I think, in Cincinnati. And he went to Ohio State. So he's like a local kid.
Yeah.
So A, that provides motivation. B, he should have a crowd behind him.
Okay.
Even on and this might end up being a night match on Tuesday. Just because it's a local kid. There's no guarantee it doesn't, especially with two courts available to have a night match.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's highly, and there's only there's not that many of the first round matches to finish up to compete with it. So I can see this being a night match, maybe on Grandstand or something.
Okay.
So Wolf might get a good crowd behind him. This line moving too. This line's actually moved more towards Wolf, but
so I actually disagree here. I actually want to play the de Minaur -2.5 here. De Minaur is the one guy who I don't worry about a travel spot. I think he's going to be motivated. He's going to be ready to go. Like, I just don't worry about it because, like, as we talked about it with Myles, like, he kind of mitigates all these, like, other things and make sure that he's 100% prepared because he utilizes, like, other ways to win, you know, based on, like, a dip from his opponent, right? So he wants to make sure he closes all of that, and the result is going to be based on the opponent playing well, not anything that he can control, right?
This comes down to de Minaur's fitness level. De Minaur's played 11 matches in the past 2 weeks because remember he made the Los Cabos final also.
Yeah, he looked pretty fresh. Like, I don't think it's not that long of a trip, and I also think this matchup is really good for de Minaur.
Interesting, both sides. You get to both sides.
Like, de Minaur is one of the most professional guys on the tour. Like, this is not going to phase him. Like,
it's not a matter of professionalism. It's a matter of, like, how much tennis can he play at that high energy of a level before he just gasses out. Like,
is he really going to need to play at that high of a level? Because JJ Wolf can also miss a ton of balls.
But JJ Wolf can play good tennis too.
He could, but, like, he's going to need to play that for 2.5 hours to win this match, in my opinion.
Again, like, the only thing this comes down to, because I had the same, like, I thought this line was pretty well set initially, like, based, like, and maybe even you're right, based on, like, tennis skills. And I agree with you on, like, the matchup thing. Like, this literally is, like, I'm trying to see, like, it's tough because we haven't seen, like, de Minaur hasn't done this in his career, where he's made he's backed up a finals with a finals.
Okay.
So, like, it's literally just a matter of, like, you know, it's literally a matter of energy level. I mean, I guess the only thing we can say is kind of similar is when he won Acapulco, he lost the first round of Indian Wells to Fucsovics 2-4.
Okay. Yeah, that's not great.
Like, but it's only, I mean, he made the finals of Atlanta last year and lost the first round to Yoshi. Granted, Yoshi was playing well at that time, but I mean, that still is not, you know, that still is not great. It's hard because, like, de Minaur hasn't had that many great runs. He made he won Eastbourne in 21, lost the first round of Wimbledon to Korda. So I actually do think because of how and those are the finals he's made. So it does seem like when he plays this much in, like, a short time span, like, I'm worried that yeah, I mean, I think there's enough reason to be concerned.
Enough reason.
It's not professionalism, right? To be completely clear, it's like, it's literally like he like, because okay, so we said Wolf could miss a ton of balls. De Minaur has to play a high energy level of 10. Like, there's no other way for him to play other than to play high energy. Like, he doesn't have a good serve. His serve is not good. And so, like, he can't just, like, serve bot his way to victory.
No, he can't. I also thought he just played damn well in Toronto. Like I feel like he's getting better. Like, he's just playing well right now. And I didn't like what I saw from Wolf against Fokina, to be honest. And, like, what has Wolf done in the recently anyway?
I mean, the only argument back to that would be that, like, I guess it'd be similar to the argument we were saying before, where, like, well, I mean, Wolf made semis in Atlanta.
Yeah, but those wins don't impress me. Kopfer and Cressy.
Yeah, that's not really...
Like, that doesn't impress me. Jason Jung, like, no. And then Mo and Albot, like, that doesn't impress me either. And when he finally plays a player like Fritz or Greek Sport or Fokina, he can't win a set.
Yeah, but I mean, look, Fokina was not competitive, but the other two matches were competitive. Like,
So you're kind of talking me out of the playing the de Minaur 2.5, but I can't get all the way to Wolf here.
All right.
So I guess
get it.
I'm kind of at a stay away here. I want to see if that line moves to 2, then I'll hit it
For de Minaur?
for de Minaur.
Okay.
Or if it goes to like a not juiced 2.5, where I can get like 2.5 at even money, for example.
Yeah.
That's when I would hit it.
Okay.
I think this line like is moving towards Wolf. That's what the looks of it are.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, all right, next match here we got Cam Norrie and Gael Monfils. Norrie's a 1-game favorite, minus 120 in the money line, over under 22.5. Monfils is even money.
What do you think about playing the first set money line on Monfils at minus 105? Because I feel like he's playing better tennis right now, but I just question his fitness, man.
But I could question Norrie's game.
Well, I'm not playing Norrie here.
Yeah.
Like, the question is, like, I can get Monfils for the same price, basically. Like I'm more than like I'm gonna play Monfils minus 105 in the first set, way before I'm gonna play him even money for the match.
Okay, I like that.
Just because, like, I'd rather like for Monfils, like in this matchup, I'd way rather have like if I'm backing Monfils, I'd way rather have this be a 1-set match than a 3-set match.
Fair.
And I don't mind paying the 5 cents to do so. The question is, like if it was plus 110, I think I would do it.
How about Monfils straight sets at plus 220? Does that entice you?
No.
No. Because like, let me check Norrie's results. Wow, he's been terrible, man. Holy shit.
But is Monfils that good? Like, can he sustain it? You know what I mean? Like, because like these results are bad from Norrie, but like,
you know what? I'm gonna tail you there. I agree with you. I agree with your take. I like the logic. It makes perfect sense. All right, this Greek sport Tiafoe match is getting exciting. It's 4-all in the second set. That's why I'm.
And you need 7-6 to get your single bet over.
My single bet and then
win the set
sets
in order to get the parlay.
Yep. High stakes, and he had break point in 4-3 at 3-4, and then so.
Wait, who had break point? Tiafoe did.
Greek sport had break point to get the break back, and he couldn't convert. And then Greek sport.
At 4. Wait, who's serving now? Tiafoe.
Now Tiafoe is in 4-all. So, all right, let's move on to the next match. We got Lechka against Fritz. Lechka's a 3.5 game dog, plus 240 in the money line. Over under is 22.5. Fritz is minus 300. Lechka played a decent match against Casper Ruud in Toronto. Just couldn't win the important points. I think he had 4-love in that first set breaker. What's Lechka to win a set here? Minus 25? I don't mind that. Oh. See, the over with the fast court, you don't get good prices on the over 12.5.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. Yeah. So do you have a play here, Brad?
I think I like the Fritz 2-0 or the Fritz -3.5. I was kind of debating, but like, here's my logic. So Fritz on American hard courts this year, right? Like fastish American hard courts. Washington, he made the semis, lost to Greeks for.
Mm-hmm.
He won Atlanta.
Mm-hmm. He made quarters of Indian Wells, quarters of Miami,
Made quarters Indian Wells, lost to Sinner.
quarters
Made
in
quarters of Miami, lost to Alcaraz.
Right.
Made semis of Acapulco, lost to Tommy Paul, gassed out. Won Delray Beach. Semis of Dallas, lost to Yibing Wu. That's probably the one really bad match he's played on American hard courts this year. But like on American hard courts, Fritz is pretty tough. Like, so now the question is, can he cover 3.5? Or can he win 2-0 at -105? That's the debate.
Really? Because I was thinking of going the other way, going with Lechka plus 3.5.
Based on the serve?
Based on the serve, based on like I think Lechka can match him shot for shot, and it's about Lechka's discipline, but I think he can hold serve enough times. I prefer 4, so I get the push at 6-4, 7, or yeah, at 6-3, 7-6. I don't mind the over here actually. I'm just not that high on Fritz. I think that's where the difference is. Like, I get your point on the American hard courts, but I also didn't like what I saw against Minaur in terms of closing the first set out. Obviously, I also didn't like what I saw against him against Griekspoor in Washington. Like, I don't know.
But those are much better players.
Then
On a
Lechka.
fast hard court. Like, I guess that's where I would come back with it. I would say, like,
I actually think Lechka's better on fast courts than slow courts. Ironically.
I don't necessarily disagree, but Lechka versus Griekspoor, I'm taking Griekspoor. Lechka versus Sinner, Alcaraz, Tommy Paul. Like, the only one that's close is Yibing Wu. Wu played well that week and Fritz played a crappy match. I mean, the problem is Fritz does drop some sets in these matches, but it's only -105. Like, I'm trying to see in like these matches that Fritz, in these matches where Fritz, in his wins on American hard courts, he's dropped a set in 1 out of 2, 2 out of 6, 3 out of 7. In Fritz's wins on American hard courts this year, he's won in straight 16 out of 22 times.
How many times has he won in 3?
6.
Okay, so those are 22 times those are his wins, right? So 16 straight sets.
Yeah.
Which makes sense because it just shows that like the opponent can't solve his superior ball striking, right?
Right.
And then if the opponent finds something, then they can win because Fritz doesn't have a plan B.
Right.
Right. So I see that's where I think Lechka, obviously Fritz is a better player, but I think Lechka can match him from a ball striking standpoint. And then the match kind of lies on Lechka's.
But is Lechka really a better tactician? I don't know.
No.
But Lechka's kind of similar to Fritz, to be honest.
True. What's their head-to-head? I know they played in Monte Carlo. Oh, not Tiafoe. Okay. Fritz won 4-6, 6-4, 6-1. I think that's their only meeting. Oh, they played twice. Oh, also United Cup. Fritz won 3 and 4. Yeah. You might have a point. It's another stay away. I can't, like, you talked me out of playing Lechka, but I can't play Fritz here. Anyway, this Greek Sport Tiafa match is getting too exciting, so let's take a quick break and then we'll come back for the final matches. Welcome back, guys. Back from a break. I just cashed a 11-1 parlay. That's why we had to take a break, because I was huffing and puffing and couldn't focus.
Yeah, so just picking up where we left off. So I am on the Fritz 2-0. I guess the only thing I was gonna say about that is like because the minus 105, there it wouldn't, like, I wouldn't do it even at like probably like minus 110, minus 115 or something is my line there. So I don't think there's a ton of value on it. But I think there's like just enough to hit. It's not like the highest confidence play in the world.
For me, I would need plus money to play that, Fritz. I'm still debating. I was on the Lechka side. Brad talked me off of that, but I'm not fully on the Fritz side. I think my play might be the over 22.5, but not sure yet. All right, so Kachanov against Murray. Kachanov is a 1-game dog here. Let me share the screen. Kachanov is a 1-game dog, plus 110 on the money line, over under 23. Murray's minus 130. So, I mean, Murray might withdraw, as Myles said in the first segment, right? Like, he got an injury in Toronto, and he might want to be fresh for Indian Wells, not Indian Wells, the U.S. Open. I don't know, and I think there are too many question marks with Kachanov because we haven't seen him since the French, right? So I think this has to be a stay away, right?
Yeah,
I
I
don't
mean, this
think
isn't a very
there's-
long conversation. Like Murray said the last time Murray said that it took him 10 to 12 days to overcome this injury, and Kachanov we haven't seen since. Yeah, I mean, yeah, you hit on the head. Like, there's not much to talk about here from a betting perspective. You just like, I just don't know anything about any of these guys. Like, I almost don't even care what the line is. Like, unless somebody was like -4 or something, then I guess I would take them. But like,
Right.
I barely care what the line is. Like, this is almost like a blind stay away.
It's a shame because this match is like good on paper, right? Right?
I don't know, man. I feel like that gets said about like every Murray match or most Murray matches just because of Murray's status. Like, I feel like this is a lot like it's really not that good, but like because of Murray's like career status, he gets hyped for every match.
Right. Yeah. True. Have these guys played, by the way? Just out of curiosity.
I don't know.
Once, and Murray beat him 3-4-4 in 2017. So that's so long ago. Kind of have to throw that away. Yeah. All right. Next match, Mackenzie McDonald against Jannik Hoffman. Mackey's a 3-game favorite, minus 215 on the money line, over under 22. Hoffman is plus 175. Hoffman is in a fade spot, though, right now. He's been pretty bad recently. I know he played clay. Like, that was the last time we saw him, right? Was on the clay swing.
Yeah.
And I don't think these courts favor him at all. Like, I think these courts are actually quite bad for him. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't really have any like
I can never bet Hoffman here.
Mm-hmm.
I was contemplating, is it worth taking Mackey and laying the 3? The only concern I have there is like Hoffman does have a good serve.
It's okay. I mean, it's not great.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
It's more like based on kick and like heaviness more so than pace. His serve.
Yeah.
right? Like it's a good clay court serve because like he gets you out wide and stuff. It just does it like there's no part of Hoffman's game which plays up on hard. Honestly.
No, I'm like that. That's the, yeah. I mean,
How about the Mackey 2-0 at plus 120?
that's the only, if you're gonna play it and I'm contemplating it, that's the only way to
I
play
think
it.
that's better than the -3.
It's just tough because like we've seen so little of Hoffman on hard courts. Like he qualified for Australia, but then he lost to Rinky in the first round. But he lost to him in 5.
Well, he battles.
What?
He fights. He battles. He fights.
Yeah. And like, I guess Mackey on these courts is better than Rinky in Australia, but I don't know if that's true.
Maybe. I like the 2-0 Mackey here at plus 120. I also think Hoffman's ball is gonna like sit up and be okay for Mackey. You know, like the flat ball is not really it like Hoffman hits a good ball for the flat shot, is what I'm trying to say.
Maybe. What is the Mackey money line? I know it's so boring. What is the Mackey money line?
Mackey money line is -215.
That seems pretty good as a parlay piece now.
That's a really good parlay piece. I like that a lot as a parlay.
Like, I think that's probably my favorite bet here. And I mean, I don't, like I might do that here too. Like, I don't like I feel like Mackey should not lose this match.
I agree with you. I'm contemplating here. We do a Mackey Fokina. How about this as a play of the day on Tuesday? A Mackey Fokina parlay at -107.
Nah.
Nah. Why? Because of Fokina?
Yeah.
Even against Etch on a fast hard court.
I hear you, but I mean, like -310 is a huge number, right? And it doesn't really like from an EV perspective, it doesn't matter if it's in a parlay or not. Like it still is a huge number.
Yeah.
The reason why you do a parlay on it is just because a -310 is boring. But like,
Okay. Just an idea because like I just hate playing -215. Like it just doesn't excite me at all.
I know. It's just not fun. I get it.
Last match, Kecmanovic against Paul. Kecmanovic is +3. 3-game dog, +170 in the money line. Paul's -210, over under 22.5. Ugh. I probably lean Paul -3. I just don't know. Like he had the injury concern like in that Sinner match.
I can't play Paul -3. Not after that injury concern. My lean would be Kecmanovic, but I'm probably gonna stay away.
Yeah, I don't lean Kecmanovic. I lean Paul here.
But so like I get it based on play, but like that, like if he's tired, if his back isn't good, that's not like you don't want guys with back injuries.
I back back injuries over fat. over overweight any day of the week and twice on Sunday. Like a niggle on the back versus like belly weight. Yeah. I'm fine with Paul backing Paul here.
I can't do it. I definitely can't be on Paul. Like,
Okay.
so I had the same initial thought that you did until I thought about the back injury piece, and then I went away. But like,
It's probably a stay away. I mean, any Kecmanovic match should be really a stay away, to be honest.
well, that's the thing. Like, he could play good enough to win this.
Yeah.
Oh, there's some more matches up. There are some more matches
Oh,
up.
more matches up. More matches.
Yeah.
Let's go. All right. Rusevori and Mute. Rusevori -3.5. -250 on the money line. Mute is +200 over under 22. I'd actually lean Mute here in a silly way, just because of how good he's looked in qualifying since the rain delay. Like after losing the first set to Arnaldi, there was a rain delay, and then he came out, won love and 2, and then beat Altmaier 4-4. And like you never want to back Rusevori as a favorite. Right?
What is the money line here?
-250. Oh, Mute
No,
is
for Mute plus 200 or something.
+200.
I'm tempted to back Mute also. Like the same exact reasons that you gave, man. Like,
Yep.
And like Rusevori is kind of a dog or pass guy.
Right.
So it's kind of the opposite of that, right? You're like dogging the dog or pass guy because as a favorite, like he might just play terrible. And
I also think this matchup for Mute isn't bad because Mute gives a lot of like junk. He gets a lot of balls back. He runs a lot of balls back down.
when he wants to.
Right. That's a good point. But if he's like not in complete clown mode, which is very possible, I think this is a matchup that Rusevori can struggle with. I'm gonna play Mute plus 200 here on the money line. You tailing me?
It's close. It's close. It's just like, oh man.
I would rather play the money line than the 3.5 games, to be honest. I think that the money line is much, much better. The games are kind of irrelevant to me just because of the Mute clown factor.
Oh yeah, no. I agree. This is the only question here? Is this plus 200 good enough for Mute? Or good enough for me to back Mute? And that's what I'm trying to think about here.
Okay.
I think it probably is. This feels awfully short for Rusevori.
It does.
Like,
And then Mute to win a set is -135, which I don't like at all.
I mean, I think if you're going to play this, you're better off just playing the money line.
Money line. I think that's the only right line.
I mean, the Mute to win a set's not bad either. Like, because he could start clowning the second set.
But he could also start clowning in the first set.
Yeah.
And I'd rather have a 200 plus 200 in my back pocket, than -135.
-135. Yeah, I hear you.
So
it's just brutal because, like, I mean, we both know Mute can be so bad.
I know it could be.
Like, this is a mess because, like, both these guys can be.
But he
so
didn't
all
clown.
over.
He didn't clown during qualifying. So.
Okay.
And he came back from a set down against probably a superior opponent in Arnaldi.
I don't know if Arnoldi's superior on fast hard, but
he's had a good run of it recently. Not on fast hard, but like he's been playing good tennis.
Yeah, and Rusevori is 2-7 in his last 9.
Mm-hmm.
Granted, most of that's grass. I guess really call it 2-6 because one of those was a semis loss in Den Bosch to Greece for. But like he's 2-6 in his last 8 against, mostly not incredible talent.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like he struggles against guys who just make a ton of balls. Because he can
Yeah.
stay. These guys played.
What?
These guys played before. No,
Good question.
they
I don't know if
haven't.
it matters, but
They haven't.
I mean, I think the only way I think like, yeah, the big debate. I might see like what else is out there, see if see what other people are doing, see if there's any good write ups on this, because like
Okay.
I just don't like it. The only question is plus 200 good enough to take Mute? Like, because like Rusevor is obviously more than 50% likely to win the match. Like Rusevor should be the favorite.
I'd agree with that.
The only question is plus 200 good enough?
Yeah.
All right, next one is Cerundolo against Lajovic. We haven't talked about that yet, right?
Yeah, we haven't. Dolo's minus 200, minus 3 on the money line. Lajovic is plus 165 on the money line, over under 22. It's tough.
Lajovic is another qualifier, but he beat Ijikata and Kubler.
Okay. What's Dolo over? Dolo over 12 and a half is minus 115.
I think I'm gonna stay away. I think this line is pretty well set.
It looks pretty well set to me.
Like, maybe I'd go Dolo just because, like, I really don't think fast courts are good for Lajovic, right? Like that
Yeah.
one-handed backhand, it's really good, but it takes him a little more time to set up. Like,
Yeah, but I don't think fast hard is necessarily good for Dolo either. That's why I kind of like the over 12 and a half here, because like I don't think there's any way that Lajovic blows him out, but I do think one set is competitive here. That's just my take. I think I'm gonna hit the over 12 and a half for Dolo.
yeah, I don't know. I'm looking like, the second half of the year has like more of your fast court swing.
Mm-hmm.
Last year, Dolo was here. So between August and January of last year, Dolo was 5-13.
Okay.
And he got a win, and then this year he's gotten a win in Toronto on fast hard against Galarno. But
That was 3 sets. Like
yeah,
it's not a good like match to go 3 sets in.
but he did win a set off of Tommy Paul, and that was a good match. But I feel like he always plays Paul tough.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. Like, it's hard for me to get particularly.
He was good in Miami. Miami's slightly slower.
Oh, Miami's way slower.
He likes those conditions. Like I don't know. I think Cerundolo is better on hard than Lajovic. Dolo plays a lot of like tightly contested matches though.
Does.
Have these guys played?
I don't know that I would care if they did. It was probably if they did, it was probably on clay.
Probably. 1-1. Oh no, that's bad Cerundolo. They have not.
I think this line is pretty well set.
It is.
Like,
To me, that's the only line worth hitting is the over.
what is Dolo 2-0 again? Plus 120?
Yeah. 125. Plus 125.
That would be the only other line I would even consider, but like, probably not going to pet that.
All right. The next match we got is Isner against Thompson. Ooh. Isner is plus 135. Over under 25.5. Plus 1.5. Yeah. Thompson's minus 165 and a 1.5 game favorite. I like
What's the over under?
25.5.
Yeah.
I actually like the under there.
Really?
Because Isner now is not the Isner of old where it's just like boom, 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 hold serve easily. And if Thompson can get one break, that under is going to hit.
Well, not necessarily, right? Because like they could always go 3 sets and you're completely screwed.
But I like Thompson 2-0. Like I'm all over Thompson here. Plus 160. I'll take that. Like Isner struggled closing out Rinky in Los Cabos and then got demolished by a bad Tsitsipas.
Yeah, I mean, he's still holding serve, though, more than 90% of the time this year. It's not like it's that bad. And I agree, it's not as good as it was in previous years, but he's still holding serve 90% of the time. Like, I don't know, man.
I guess, but I don't know. Like once the rally starts, Thompson has a sizable edge.
But Isner's probably a better mental player still.
Slightly. Thompson is improving in that facet.
Yeah, I don't think he's. I mean, but Isner's like actually good there, right? We talked this before. Like Isner's actually like above average.
He's strong.
And Thompson's below average. I think there's a gap there.
You know what? Maybe not. You know what? Maybe not the 2-0, and I might play the minus 1.5 instead. Because I could like if this goes 3, Isner is going to gas out. That's the play. That's the play for me. Minus 1.5, minus 120. Because Isner, especially in hot conditions, like he can barely last 2 sets. And his serve velocity actually goes down like as the match goes on. It happened against Rinky. He actually got broken serving for the match, and then it got into a dogfight. And you could see like his legs get heavy. He was like tapping the leg. That's when you know Isner gets tired, when he's like tapping the leg with his racket. I don't know if you noticed that with him.
I haven't. It's a good insight.
Yeah, he like taps the back of his leg. Like you can tell like he's getting fatigued. And he does it more often earlier in matches than he's ever had before. So I like Thompson minus 1.5 here. I'm gonna make that a 2-unit play. No?
I think this is pretty well set, this line, to be honest. Like, I don't know, man. Like, this is a big tournament for Isner, too. Like, I get it. Like how much does motivation matter if you, like...
Yeah, if you're playing, like, shit.
Yeah.
All right. Sonego and Shevchenko. Sonego is a 3-game favorite, minus 215 on the money line, plus 175 for Shevchenko, over 22.5, over under 22.5.
That feels like a pretty good line to me. Maybe the over 22.5.
That's what I was looking at, to be honest, here. But again, Klaus has talked me out of the playing over 22.5 in first round matches.
Yeah.
And Sonego has not been good recently. Lost to Wawrinka, lost to Murray. Beat Cecchinato and Minaur. But that's Clay.
Beat Vucevic in qualifying. Shevchenko did. Sorry.
Yeah,
Shevchenko's actually been okay recently.
he has.
Oh. Oh, I think I might back. What's it? 3? I think I might back Shevchenko.
+3.
Yeah, qualified. I like qualifiers.
I like qualifiers too.
Yeah.
What about what's +1.5 sets? Ew. God damn it. Why can't that be -130? Three sets +140? That's kind of like playing the over 22.5.
Yeah, basically that's the variation of playing the over.
Yeah.
I kind of like Chevy plus the 3.
How about just money lines? You get plus money. Like Sonigo lost both of his hardcore matches this
Well, 1, right?
no, Murray and Washington and Wawrinka. Oh no, yeah, just 1. You're right. I thought that was
What is the money line here?
+175.
Yeah, I mean, I think it just means I think I like something pro Shevchenko here. But
Yeah.
is this a Tuesday match or is it a tomorrow match?
The power match.
What time?
Like around 1:30.
Yeah, I'll go Shevchenko.
Money line?
I'll probably split my unit and do both.
All right, I'm just going money line. But again, it's a low confidence pick. I'm not like that excited about it.
I'm a little more excited about it. Like I don't know, man. I think I like these qualifiers, man. I think there's, and I'm gonna go the Mute plus 200 also.
Okay. Is that our play of the day tomorrow? That one I'm more excited about. Play of the day on a clown? Maybe not.
Yeah. I think I like the under 22.5 at -105 for Dimitrov and
Okay. All right, we'll go with that for a play of the day tomorrow.
yeah.
And then I think there are a few matches that are they haven't placed qualifiers yet, right? Or like they haven't
No, they place them. I mean, they just might not have lines up yet.
Humbert and Feast, I think, is one of them. Harris and Purcell. Hubie and Kokonakis.
Yep.
That's it, right? Everything else is up. Believe so. Ooh, so this match is up. I saw Shelton is +275 against Tsitsipas. Is that a hit on the money line?
Yeah.
That's a hit right now. I feel like that line is gonna that line is gonna move in Shelton's favor.
I think so too. Because it's like it's basically like a 4-game. You know what though? Oh man.
What?
The problem is what I prefer to do is take Shelton +4. And if that line doesn't get destroyed,
Yeah.
I think Shelton +4 is a better play.
I probably split the unit. I agree with you, but I want to split the unit. Go both.
You know what? I might hit that next. Yeah.
That line is certainly going to move in or how
Like,
about
where do you think it should be? Like, I think it should probably be closer to the 200 range.
I would say like plus 180, 190. I just think that this is like a match made in heaven for Shelton. Like that lefty serve to Tsitsipas's backhand on a fast court in his home country. Crowd is going to be backing him. It's probably going to be like a center court match. I don't know, just like everything to me just screams Shelton here.
Yeah.
Great spot. Tsitsipas is defending finalist points, so he has 600 points to defend here. That's another.
That's not good, right? That's a reason to back Tsitsipas.
I don't think so. I think that pressure might come into play. I don't necessarily think so. It could go both ways, so maybe that's a wash.
I think that's a wash at best.
Okay. I actually don't mind Shelton 2-1 at plus 625.
Wait, that's out?
Yeah.
Oh, there's more stuff out on this?
Yeah, there is. Your ears perked up. Shelton 2-1 plus 625. I'm going to go 1 unit on the money line, 1 unit on 2-1, and I'm going to wait for the game spread. And if it's 4 or 3.5, I'm going to hit that too. That's how I'm going to play this. I can't wait for this match. That's going to be on Tuesday? Probably Tuesday.
Wednesday.
But they usually put 1 or 2 second round matches on Tuesday. Like a night session or something. So, and the fact that these guys played Sunday, it'll probably be on Tuesday night. So, all right. So that does it for the pod. So we have play of the day on Monday is going to be Dimitrov and Zverev under 22.5.
Yep, and I've got Evan. I'm going through my plays for tomorrow. I've got Mute.
Hmm?
I've got Mute. I've got Koric, which is such a hold your nose. I've got Chevy at +3 and Chevy +3 and Chevy +175. Koric +150. The under you mentioned, and Evans at +120 on the money line. So I got a lot of money lines tomorrow.
Okay, I got Mute money line. I'm tailing you. It's just not very high confidence, so we're not going to make it a play of the day. I got Berrettini 2-0. I got Nico Yari, Safiullin over 23. I know that's a bit risky, but I still like that just because of Yari going over so often recently. I like Wawrinka money line at +110. That's one of my higher confidence bets. I have I think, what did I say in Dolo Lajovic? Oh, Dolo over 12.5. I have Thompson -1.5. I'm staying away from Korda Koric. I got Shevchenko +175, just the money line. I don't have the game spread. And then the Zverev Dimitrov under. I'm staying away from Evans Musetti. And that's all tomorrow. Then Tuesday, what do we have? I got Fokina 2-0 against Etch. I have Minaur I'm still waiting on here, but it's actually moving in Wolf's favor. I think it was -120, now it's -110. So I'm probably going to hit Minaur -2.5. We have the Nori Monfils set 1 money line.
Yep, that's one play that we have together.
Okay, so that might be play of the day. Lechka Fritz I'm still undecided on, but I'm probably gonna right now it's kind of a stay away for me. Kachina Murray we're both staying away from.
Yeah, I'm Fritz 2-0 on that match.
Fritz Lechka match. Okay.
Yeah, Fritz 2-0.
I'm on Mackie 2-0 against Hoffman.
Yeah, that's what I think about. I'm close to that. You might be able to convince me.
And Kecmanovic Paul I'm staying away from.
Yeah, I'm saying that's when we definitely do staying away from Greek Sport and Paul, or not Greek Sport. Kecmanovic and Paul.
Paul, and then I'm on the Shelton money line, the Shelton 2-1, and hopefully the Shelton +4.
Yeah, I'm still thinking about that one. I'm probably gonna end up Shelton. I'll probably do the Shelton money line. Other stuff is hard to say. It's just like, man, I don't know. Like we said all that positive stuff about Shelton, but like, how's he gonna break Tsitsipas's serve?
True. How is he going to break? But how is Tsitsipas going to break?
I don't know.
So I don't know. All right. Well, thanks again to Myles for joining us for the first part, and we'll be active on Twitter all week. I'll be on site this week. Super excited for that. So I'll post some Logic videos on site, which I think will be pretty cool. We'll hopefully do some spaces throughout the week. So great stuff coming up, and the U.S. Open is 2 weeks away. So
All right, guys. Have a good night, everyone.
peace out.
Bye.